Hey, folks. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Welcome to another impromptu weeknight stream. Boy, we've been on a streak here doing these, I think, the past 3 or 4 weeks. But welcome. I hope you're all doing fantastic. And thanks for hanging out this evening. So, British Airways is retiring. Also very, very impromptu. They're 747s. I'm not exactly sure whether the last flight has already occurred or if that is still planned to occur. But this is one of British Airways 747s painted in this fantastic vintage British Overseas Airline Corporation livery. Just one of my absolute favorite retro liveries ever. And figured we'd try and send the BA 747s out in style, at least in the sim, by attempting the very challenging circle land on one right at SFO when we get there. So we're at Everett, Washington, where it all started. This, of course, is where all the 747s that were ever made and ever got into the wild were built at that factory right over there. So a place with a lot of history, and I figured this is a fantastic place to start our flight at. So we're here at the Boeing ramp, and we're going to push back once we're all done with setting things up for the flight, and we're going to depart for about a 1.5 hour flight to SFO. I am going to plan on hopping on a pilot edge here, and depending on whether or not we get permission from the controller, depending on how things are going at SFO, for the circle land one right, we may or may not decide to stay on pilot edge, but I am actually committed, personally, to landing on one right. If we need to change the weather in the sim, we will, but I do want to try that challenging Californian Kai-Tech approach at one right. But let me catch up with all of you fine folks in chat here. Portland Aviation, Blim Blim, Seat Back Pocket. Who else do we have here? Hazaru, who lives in a zoo. Expert Pilot FSX, does ones. Who else do we have in chat? Gregory DeLong, all of you fine folks, and anybody that I missed who's in stream but didn't chime in yet. Welcome. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Okay, let's see how we're doing here with our co-pilot and FS2 crew. I think he's already done his pre-flight checks. So what I'm going to do here is hop on a pilot edge, and we'll pick up our IFR clearance and all that fun jazz on pilot edge here. It's got to open up the client. Usually I stay offline for the initial part, you know, when we're doing the intro to the stream. That way we're not listening to, you know, a whole bunch of transmissions and that kind of stuff while the stream intro music is playing. But let me put in our call sign here. It's Speedbird 747 Heavy, as one might expect. And our type code is, of course, B744. Airline code, I think, is BAW, right? So let's go ahead and put that in. All right, connected to pilot edge. And let me go ahead and close off a couple of windows here that I don't need anymore. My stream starting soon timer and my music player. And let me catch up on chat here because I know I missed a ton. Seat Back Pocket, thank you for the kind words. Much appreciated. Nicholas Gok, welcome on board. Nicholas, hope you're doing fantastic. Yeah, so expert pilot, you're right. Lufthansa right now appears to be one of the only operators, right? I think Korean Air, yeah, like Portland was saying, Korean Air, Air China as well. As far as I know, they're the only major operators of 747s. And if you're willing to brave travel to Iran these days, I believe Iran Air might be operating the old 747-200s. so that might be an option too. But geopolitics in today's world might kind of prevent that from happening, right? Okay, let me go ahead and pull up the ATIS frequency here for Payne Field. It's 128.65. Let me go ahead and tune that in. And let me also go ahead and tune in.
We're right.
Whoops.
Assignment and hold short
there
instruction. Advise on initial contact.
Always takes me a few seconds here to figure out how to work the radios. And Payne clearance is 127.17. Let me go ahead and tune that in.
Visibility 10. 2,600 scattered. Temperature 18. Dew point 14. Altimeter 2986. Arriving runways 34 left. 34 right. 16 right. Departing runways 16 right. 34 left. 34 right. Visual approaches in use. IFR departures expect runway 16 right. VFR departures expect runway 34 right. OR 34 left. Read back all runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information November.
Okay, November. All right, let's go ahead and go back to guard there.
Here's the load sheet for you.
Thanks. Okay. The seat back pocket, absolutely. The intros to my streams always involve a little tour of the places that we're located at, actually. And by the way, this isn't something this is something I started doing after watching the fantastic Paddle Out, who hasn't been streaming in a while on Twitch. But Paddle Out used to do these fantastic intros to his streams, right? Where he would kind of do a little tour of the airport and the area that he was launching his streams and flights from. And so that's where I got the inspiration for this from. Really miss watching Paddle Out streams. I hope he's doing fantastic, though. But that's where we got the little idea for the tour from. And Drzewiecki Design, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, did a fantastic job of modeling the Boeing factory here. I've actually done the Boeing factory tour a couple of years ago. So basically, you'd be starting at the Boeing Museum, which is across the runway over there. So that's where the Boeing Museum is, where the Dreamlifter is basically stationed at. The Dreamlifter is over at that hangar,
give me your initial
back
call.
left,
What's your direction of departure,
and
your type aircraft,
the Boeing Museum is straight over there behind the airplane. So essentially, you go to the Boeing Museum, you get tickets for the factory tour, and you hop on a Boeing bus that drives you over to the factory here, and you do a really fun tour of the factory. And that was super, super fun for sure. It is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is the largest building in the world, right, by volume. I'm not sure if it's the largest building in the world by area, but I think it's the largest building in the world by volume. Just absolutely stunning how big it is. And in fact, the story I heard when I was there was that sometimes, depending on what the conditions are like, you actually get, weather, like essentially like clouds forming. If the dew point spread is low enough, you actually get clouds forming near the roof of the factory. That's how huge it is. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you're
anyway,
totally fine with the flight. I just highly recommend it before,
let's see.
Just in case.
Portland was saying Iran would be awesome to visit as an AvGeek, but I'd be a little scared right now with the geopolitical situation. Yeah, totally. You know, you see, prominent YouTubers and, of course, folks like Anthony Bourdain back in the day, right? Back when he was still around, visiting Iran, and it's really unfortunate that there are places like this that we unfortunately don't get to travel to without essentially going through a lot of hoops. Anyway, I probably should pick up my IFR clearance here. Joel Janao Amador, welcome on board. Hola to you as well. Thanks for hanging out with us. Seatback Pocket says, yes indeed, absolutely miss Paddle. Yeah, totally, for sure, Seatback. I do miss watching his streams. Paddle had a very, very, what do you call it? He was one of the most approachable streamers I think I've ever seen on Twitch, Yeah, it's too bad we haven't seen a stream from him in a while. But anyway, let's go ahead and pick up our IFR clearance here. I've been gabbing on long enough here. Probably should go ahead and pick up that IFR clearance. Let's see, what is the official name of the clearance frequency here? It's Pain Clearance. Okay. Pain Clearance, good evening. Speedbird 747 Heavy with November, IFR to San Francisco.
Call sign again?
Speedbird 747 Heavy.
I don't have a Speedbird 77 Heavy.
747 Heavy.
No, I don't have that either, otherwise I would have spotted it. You need to double check your call sign that you logged in as.
Oh, I will do. Thank you so much. All right. First screw up of the day. That's not good. Yeah, Speedbird 747 Heavy. It's BAW 747, right? Isn't that the Speedbird call sign? Maybe I've got something wrong here. Isn't BAW the official call sign for Speedbird? Yeah, it is. That's the call sign I'm logged in as. So let me just very quickly check on the Pilot Edge website here. Yeah, that's me. I'm on here. Speedbird 747.
Ground 172.
Am I missing something here, folks? I don't know. Maybe I'm getting something wrong, but isn't BAW Bravo Alpha Whiskey the official three-letter identifier for Speedbird, British Airways? I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. Let me know if I missed something. Toilet Inspector, welcome on board. Hope you're doing well there, Toilet. How are things treating you down in the fine country of New Zealand? Hope you're doing well. Expert Pilot was saying, yeah, the Boeing factory has its own microclimate. Totally. Yeah, it's a super interesting thing. Yeah, so what am I missing here? You know, let me try this real quick. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect. BAW 747. That's me. B744, airline code BAW. Let me check on one thing here real quick. Yeah, so Pilot Edge, they do use three-letter identifiers, right? Yeah, it's not two-letter I don't know. You know what, let's try it one last time. If this doesn't work, we're just going to hop off. And we're just going to fly by ourselves, folks. There's lots to do to keep ourselves occupied and chat, so we don't need the headache of dealing with, with Pilot Edge if it's crazy on Pilot Edge. And one last thing I want to do here, actually, let me just make sure I filed the right flight. Yeah, I filed the flight plan under BAW 747 as well. Paying clearance, hello again. This is Speedbird 747 Heavy. Are you showing me in my flight plan now?
Speedbird 747 Heavy, affirmative, standby.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm not sure what happened. I am indeed on the right frequency. I was totally on the right frequency. I checked and double-checked. I triple-checked, and I triple-dog dare you to say that I didn't check, triple-check, double-check, whatever. I don't know what happened there. I've had all kinds of internet problems, by the way, recently, so it might be an internet issue. My ISP has been giving me all kinds of weird little connection drops recently, so that might have been the issue. This is the same controller I was talking to, yes.
Clearance available, advise ready to copy.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, it is ready to copy.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, transmit again for me.
Speedbird 747 Heavy is ready to copy.
Okay, thank you. 747 Heavy, you're transmitting on guard, sir. Sorry about that. I didn't notice until now. Contact me on 127.17, please.
Aha! Why am I transmitting on guard there?
Ground number 120, Papa holding short, runway 34 left.
Oh boy. always something going on here. Okay, let's, maybe it was... just picking up the ATIS on guard caused that issue? Or not, sorry, not picking up the ATIS, but just picking up the ATIS caused that issue? Okay, let's try this again. COM 1, 127.175. What was it on before? I'm just looking at my... Oh, okay.
You're holding short of the departure runway, ready for departure. You can change the tower on your own. I don't need to give you the handoff over the tower.
Got it, got it. Okay, now I figured out what was going on. Okay. I was transmitting on guard, that was the issue there. Okay, let's try this again. 127.175. That one goes to VHF R. There we go.
Denver approach, sir.
Let's try this again real quick.
Juliet Charlie back with you. 14 to the west of Centennial. We'd like to do the ILS
Okay.
35 right.
I was.
approach at
Okay, I know
Centennial
why.
practice
Because I
approach.
pressed the mic button down here, thinking that was VHF1. VHF1 is actually up here. So what I was doing was totally transmitting on guard, like he said.
2322 ident. 519 Juliet Charlie.
Pin clearance, Speedbird 747 Heavy, hopefully with you on the right frequency now.
747 Heavy, affirmative, thank you. You're cleared to San Francisco Airport, pane 6 departure, radar vector is pane, then is filed, maintain 2000, expect flight level 39010 and set to departure. Departure frequency 120.4, squawk 5065.
Clear to SFO, we have the pane 6 departure, radar vector is pane, then is filed, climb maintain 2000, flight level 39010 minutes after, departure frequency 120.4, squawk 5065, Speedbird 747 Heavy.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, read back correct.
Okay. I promise, folks, that I'm not usually this inept.
Charlie, radar contact,
But this is what happens when you haven't flown a type in a while, and you're figuring out things on the fly. All of this happened because I was trying to hit the speaker there,
Okay, we'll go to
so that I can listen in on my headset, and I accidentally clicked on that instead of that. Okay, all right. Good to note. Live and learn, I guess. Okay, and let's set standby comm 1 here to 120.4. All right, fantastic.
Engine clearance.
Gregory Long says it is BAW unless the controller thinks it is a shuttle, but this would be for a shuttle. Yeah, that totally makes sense there, Gregory Long. Hazaru says, happy 4:18 a.m. from London. It's been a long night and still lots to look forward to. Well, that's good to see there, Hazaru, or good to hear there, Hazaru. Thanks for staying up so late to watch the stream and hang out. Gregory says the mystery has been solved. Indeed, it has. The mystery was not that much of a mystery. What was really going on was you had a very, very inept pilot and streamer. So that should bode well for the rest of the stream, don't you think? Anyway, let's see what else is going on here. Toilet Inspector says things down here in New Zealand are not too bad. That's awesome, Toilet. Glad to hear that. Super awesome. Let's see, what else did I miss here? Blim Blim was asking, did Virgin stop flying the 747-2? And somebody was saying, yeah, they did. Expert pilot was saying, yeah, they did. Oh, that's unfortunate to hear. Hirthik Kreml, welcome on board. Hope you're doing well. And who did I miss here? I missed somebody. Just Love Flying, hello to you. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with us. All right, let's go ahead and do our departure brief here. We probably should get going soon, so we don't spend too much time dilly-dallying here on the ground. So let me go ahead and do our departure brief here real quick.
5,300. 18 miles east with information Juliet. Request full stop at Monterey.
All right, east of what? Monterey?
Yes, sir. East of Monterey.
It would have to be, right?
780 Mike Zulu, NorCal approach, squawk 6145 Adam, maintain VFR.
Okay, let's see. What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to pull up my iPad so I can do my departure briefing here.
Sir, Mike Zulu.
Let me just very quickly mirror my screen here on my iPad. And let me go ahead and pull up my iPad here on my screen. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Let's go ahead and do our departure brief here. Are you ready for the departure brief?
Go for it.
All right, enthusiastic co-pilot there. That's always good to see. Okay, ATIS information November is current at Payne Field. Let's very quickly pick up the weather once again. The Payne.
Altimeter 299.
900 Mike Zulu.
There we go. Okay, the weather at Payne, winds are calm, 10 statute miles visibility, clouds scattered at 2600, temperature 182.14, altimeter is 2986. And we're located here at the Boeing Company ramp. We're going to push back into the taxi lane behind us, and hopefully we get 16 right for departure. I'm since the winds are calm, that's probably what we're going to get. Unless the controller is still not very happy with us for transmitting on guard earlier. That'd be one way to punish us, wouldn't it? Send us all the way down to 34 left and see what our level of patience is. But chances are we're just going to get Alpha 1 to hold short of 16 right for departure. And let's see, our V speeds here. Actually, we're going to take off flaps 10. With a reduced takeoff thrust at assumed temp of 50 degrees Celsius. V speeds 122, 127, 144. And during the departure, for any malfunctions before V1, such as engine failure, fire, loss of control, aircraft unsafe to fly, I'm going to call stop, stop to reject the takeoff. Brake, exit off the runway if able, and advise ATC. Any malfunctions after V1, we're going to continue the takeoff and treat it as an in-flight emergency. I'm going to handle the controls and advise ATC, and you back me up with the appropriate QRH procedures and checklists. Pending that, we're going to be departing via the Payne 6 departure today, off of runway 16 right. Procedure is relatively straightforward. Climb heading 163 to our assigned altitude, which is 2,000 feet. Let me make sure I set 2,000 up here in the altitude selector box. Here we go, 2,000. And then we'll get radar vectors Payne, but chances are it'll be actually the battleground. That's our next fix after Payne. And we'll maintain assigned altitude and expect flight level. Expect flight level 390, 10 minutes after departure. Radar required, and ATC may assign an initial heading to be flown and vector departures in all quadrants within 10 nautical miles of the Payne Airport, provided no altitude restrictions imposed prior to reaching the minimum, I think that's vectoring altitude, yeah, minimum vectoring altitude. This SID does require standard takeoff minimums off the 16s, and let's see, anything else to note on here? Our departure frequency was 120.4, not 128.5 there. Okay, that's our approach brief. Any questions?
Colonel 654 Bravo Rome.
Okay, let's go ahead and hide the iPad away.
Altimeter 2980.
And I'm going to stop mirroring here. There we go. Save some precious computer resources. Mirroring that iPad screen essentially drops my frames just a little bit there, so I want to make sure I don't overuse that. In fact, for our approach brief, we'll probably go just capture the Chrome window or something instead. All right.
60519 Juliet Charlie.
Let's see. I wanted to go ahead and do my pre-flight checklist here.
You're 8 miles from
pre-flight checklist.
Pre-flight checklist. Oxygen.
Tested 100%.
Tested 100%. Flight instruments.
All right, VFR practice
V2 plus 15, 159er, heading 164, altitude 2,000 feet.
519 Juliet Charlie.
Altitude 2,000 feet. Set and checked.
Heading 345, altimeter 2986. Parking brake.
Set.
Fuel control switches.
Cut off.
Pre-flight checklist complete.
Okay, here's what I did wrong there. I thought you said MCP instead of flight instruments. Flight instruments is what I should have been reading off here, so 345, 2986, that makes sense. Okay, let's go ahead and do our before start procedure here. Let's request the pushback. Whoops. Parking brake is set, correct? Why can't I request the pushback here? 1 second. Let me see if I can get GSX to cooperate here.
DVM 780 Mike Zulu, contact Monterey Tower, 118.4.
1 second.
Over to Tower 780 Mike Zulu.
Let's customize airport positions. I think I know what's wrong. No, that's not what's wrong at all.
Monterey Tower, TBM
let me very quickly reload GSX here.
4 miles northeast with information Juliet, request full stop.
Every once in a while, GSX starts acting up. We're going to need it to push back, obviously, unless I want to use the default pushback here.
Enter right downwind for runway
before start procedure.
Left, clear to land 28
Are we cleared to pressurize?
Yes.
Cool.
All right.
519 Juliet Charlie, traffic 11 o'clock, 6 miles southeastbound via Farlesgate to 8,600, type unknown.
Why can't I request the GSX pushback here?
519 Juliet Charlie.
There we go. Now it's working. Okay, prepare pushback and departure. I don't really care who you assign as an operator, and do I want to request pushback? Yes, I do, GSX. The fact that I asked you once before, just a couple seconds ago, should have been a hint that, yes, I did in fact want to request pushback. You gotta love GSX there. Oh my god. The memes just keep on coming with GSX, like I like to say. Okay, co-pilot going through the before start procedure here. Let's see, what did I miss in chat?
November 113 Sierra X-ray.
Raza Gaming, welcome on board. Hope you're doing well. Raza Gaming says you saw the final 747 leave for LAX. It was sad to see. Yeah, I can totally imagine there, Raza. Are you located in Australia, Raza?
2013.
And I'm assuming if they flew that Qantas 747 to LAX, they were probably after LAX, probably ferrying it on towards Southern California Logistics and Victorville, or possibly even Mojave, right, for the where they have the airplane boneyards and they retire these old airplanes. Raza says you saw it on Facebook. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Before start checklist.
Please repeat initial
Before start
altitude.
checklist. Flight deck door closed and locked. Passenger signs set. MCP.
Set and checked.
Takeoff speeds.
Set.
136 X-ray. What did you
Set and checked.
CDU pre-flight.
Completed.
Completed. True.
10,000 been set to departure.
3.7 units, 0 and 0.
Boeing
Taxi and takeoff briefing.
going
Completed.
to use
Beacon,
the
both.
Eugene
Before
1,
start checklist complete.
Okay, before start checklist complete, let's do a quick edit pushback here. And we'll push back to right about there.
Frequency 119.9, squawk 4336, 30 X-ray.
2113 X-ray, read back correct.
Okay, brakes released. Start sequences 4 and 3, then 2 and 1.
Check.
Start the clock. Start engines 4 and 3.
Tower runway 34 left at Alpha 5, cleared for takeoff, wind 320 at 8.
Starting engines. Start engines 4 and 3. Start engines 4 and 3.
Starting 4 and 3.
Okay, to try that a couple of times there. We're already running into problems. All right, oil pressure, waiting for a couple indications to show up there before I'm willing to move the fuel control levers into the run position.
Number 519 Juliet Charlie, contact Centennial Tower, 118.9er.
Why is that not starting up?
Juliet Charlie. In Centennial Tower, 519 Juliet Charlie, inbound ILS 35 right with Lima, full stop.
Number 519 Juliet Charlie, Centennial Tower, runway 35 right, clear to land, wind 280 at 8.
There we go.
35 right, clear to land, 519 Juliet Charlie.
Okay. Not quite sure what was going on there, but engine starting up, oil pressure, and 3. And 2 slowly coming up. These are the Rolls-Royce engines, which I haven't flown with in a while, so... Okay, anyway. Pushback complete. Let's go ahead and set starting brake. Or let's go ahead and set the parking brake, not the starting brake, rather. The parking brake. Yeah, the layout here is a little different. Obviously, we've got the EPR up there. I was expecting that. N1, EGT expecting that. What I wasn't expecting was the N2 to be smaller than the N3 there. So the N2 only has a couple of boxes with digital readouts. The N3 has these sort of little bars there showing what percentage of N3 the engine is running at. Okay, anyway, no big deal. Engines have started up, looks like, and stabilized on, or stabilizing rather, on numbers 4 and 3. Let's go ahead and start up numbers 2 and 1. Start engines 2 and 1.
Starting 2 and 1.
Okay, once again, just going to move the fuel control switches to run there on 2 and 1. N3 coming up. Oil pressure. That's kind of strange, though. Usually I'm looking for an oil pressure indication before I move the fuel control switches to run. Not sure if the logic's a little different in these engines. Maybe I'm missing something. Anyway, GNEA Airbus 330, welcome on board. Hope you're doing well. Portland Aviation was saying, yeah, I was about to say, I think it, no, I know that, Portland. What I meant was usually the engine starts motoring before the fuel control switches are moved to run, and for some reason the engines didn't appear to be motoring at all. But then again, I haven't flown the PMDG 747 with Rolls-Royce engines in quite a while. The last time I've flown these, you know, in quite a while actually, has been with the Pratt Whitney and or GE engines. So it's been quite a while since I've done it with the Rolls-Royce engines. But usually, right, from what I remember, the engines start motoring, so you do get an oil pressure indication, you get at least N3 or N2 rising, and then you move the fuel control switches into run. Usually you wait for oil pressure first, but that was not happening, or either that or it just didn't wait long enough. Anyway, it is what it is. GNEA, I'm doing great, thanks for asking.
Victor 121 there.
Okay, looks like good start on numbers 1 and 2 as well. And I'm just going to wait on some of these lights to go off up top. Those two are fine. So let's go and call for the before taxi procedure here. Before taxi procedure.
Check.
Okay, co-pilot's going to go through that. Let me go ahead and tune in Payne ground here, 121.8. Okay, 121.8. And it's going to take a while for the co-pilot to go through this process here. Matthew 4, welcome on board. Matthew, hope you're doing fantastic. Thanks for hanging out with us from Chile once again. Hope you're doing great. Hazari was saying your apartment has an amazing view of Heathrow. You can see it now, in fact. The 741, yes, it was indeed an icon of the London skyline, I can imagine. And that's super awesome that you got to see that you have that view of Heathrow. I'm assuming, well, if you can see it out of your window, pretty much you can do your plane spotting on demand, right? That's super awesome, Hazru. Super jealous that you got to do that.
In the GA parking near hotel.
Flaps 10. Okay, let's do our flight controls check here. Full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, and on the rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Before taxi checklist.
Before taxi checklist. Anti-ice. Off. Recall. Checked. Auto brake. RTO. Flight controls.
Checked.
Ground equipment.
Clear.
Clear. Before taxi checklist complete.
Okay, before taxi checklist complete.
Yeah, 7,000 there for 6660.
GNEA Airbus 330 was asking how to configure FS2 crew for voice. It's pretty straightforward, GNEA. It depends, flaps 10 green there, it depends on which add-on you're using FS2 crew for. If you're talking about the 747 from PMDG, this is the Queen of the Skies 2, right? FS2 crew also had an add-on for the original PMDG 747 from way back in the day for FSX. But what you want to do is go to the secondary button there, click on that. That opens up this window. You want to go to config, you want to go to setup, and there's an interface voice control up there. It's either going to say button control or voice control depending on what it's set up to. If you want to switch it from voice to button, you want to click on that. I'm not going to do that because that's going to cause all kinds of issues for me right now if I do that. But if you want to switch between button and voice, all you want to do is press the line select key besides where it says interface voice control. And for FS Labs, GNEA, the only thing I can recommend is, because I don't remember it off the top of my head, right? There's no way for me to do that off the top of my head. All I can do is recommend checking out the manual for it. Or if you're unable to find it in the manual, the next time we do a stream featuring the FS Labs, I'm always, you know, using FS2 crew anyway. What we can probably do is walk you through it then. But let's go ahead and request our taxi clearance here. Make sure that we're squawking Charlie. Indeed we are. I'm also going to double check here in my Pilot Edge client. All right, got that. Okay, let me go ahead and request my taxi clearance here. 121.8, make sure we're transmitting on the right frequency once again.
118 radar contact, 41 miles southeast Lamar, VOR, looks like you're 300. So
yeah, Matthew, you totally. Those NDAs are pretty strict. Good for you for making sure you're adhering to the terms you agreed to abide by. Payne ground, Speedbird 747 Heavy, ready for taxi.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, Payne ground, where you parked?
We're parked at the Boeing company ramp.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, runway 34 left, taxi via Alpha.
Runway 34 left, taxi via Alpha, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay. I don't think he's mad at us. I think he just, that's the runway in use, and probably fits in better with the runways in use at Boeing Field and, what do you call it, and Seattle-Tacoma Airport. So usually when those airports are landing to the north, they probably want to have Payne Field taking off to the north as well to avoid any traffic conflicts. So that makes sense, no worries. Okay, let's hang a right here. And we'll head towards Alpha 1. But we have a nice long taxi ahead of us here, folks. All the way down to Alpha to 34 left. And one thing I want to make sure I do is switch my runways here, my FMS as well. At least I hope he's not still mad at us. I don't think he is. They're pretty professional here on Pilot Edge, right? Right? Okay, anyway, Alpha, we'll hang a left onto Alpha, all the way down, all the way down to 34 left. All right, and what I got to do here is go to departure, arrival. Let's do 34 left on the departure, execute, go to route, make sure there's no discos there. We're all good. And let's go to the takeoff page, get in our V-speeds once again. Just confirm that they are the same. 122, 127, 144, that's correct. And the last thing I want to do is set my heading bug here for the Payne 6 departure off of 34 left. So I'm very quickly going to pull up that chart while we're taxiing here. Usually you'd have your co-pilot do it, so you're not distracted, obviously. But okay, 34 left, climb on heading 343. So I'm gonna set 343 on the heading bug. Here we go, 343.
Eugene Tower, runway 34 left, clear for takeoff. Wind 320
Okay, we'll taxi all the way down here.
34 left, clear for takeoff. 33 X-ray.
All right, and let me catch up on chat because I know I missed a ton. Expert Pilot FSX says, to be fair, it's a lot easier to spot a lit switch which is not supposed to be lit than an unlit switch that is supposed to be lit. Boy, I missed something there. Oh yeah, totally. You know, so that's the other thing, right? The engine start switches usually would be lit up. And that's the other thing I was wondering about. Like, why aren't the little white lights on those engine start switches lit up? So I don't know. I just think the starting procedure might be slightly different in the Rolls-Royce engines. As I mentioned, I hadn't flown this with the Rolls-Royce engines in quite a while. And in fact, let me go heading select there. There we go. That's better. Because I don't have the Payne 6 available as a departure procedure for some reason at this airport in Navigraph. Anyway, no big deal. Okay, let's give you some exterior shots here. This is a truly spectacular livery, right? Look at this. This, of course, pays homage to the original BOAC livery from way back in the day. I think it's a spectacular livery. This is one of a number of aircraft, 747s and I think an Airbus A319 as well, that British Airways repainted for the 100th anniversary. I think they also painted another 747 in the Landor livery, right? Which is super cool. But this is a truly spectacular livery for sure. Trying to catch up on chat here. Portland is saying you had GSX do the same thing to you. An expert pilot was saying you can push back with full reverse. I haven't tried that in this aircraft. I know you can definitely do it in the Mad Dog X. In fact, back in the day, the DC-9s and Mad Dogs could actually push back from the gate that way. But I don't know if it's the best idea in this particular type of aircraft. Herthik was saying lockdown is over in Nepal. Things are going better now. Flights are reopening in a few days. That's awesome, Herthik. That's great to hear. Glad things are going well there. And expert pilot was saying you remember being on a Cathay A350 on a very long taxi in Hong Kong. and some guy started shouting profanities about the Chinese being slow. It was interesting. Well, Hong Kong is its own culture, you know. One of the things I've learned is that Hong Kong is it's a country in its own right, although Beijing probably doesn't like to hear that. It's a very, very independent culture in Hong Kong, right? So I'm not sure if it's quite fair to the Hong Kongese or Hong Kongers to say, to blame it or to say that, right? Either case, that's unfortunate. Okay, let's go ahead and hold short here, and let's do our before takeoff checklist rather. Before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist. Flaps.
Flaps 10.
Flaps 10. Before takeoff checklist complete.
Okay, before takeoff checklist complete, let me go ahead and set my CTAF, or sorry, not CTAF, but tower frequency here, 132.905. All right, fantastic. And let's go ahead and call up tower here and let them know we're ready for departure. Let me very quickly here create a save point. The screen's going to go blank for a second as I create a save point there. There we go. That way, in case we have a sim crash for any reason, we have a spot to come back to. And we did have a sim crash our last weeknight stream. That's the reason I had to do that too. All right. Payne Tower, Speedbird 747 Heavy, ready for departure. Runway 34 left.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, Payne Tower, runway 34 left, cleared for takeoff, wind calm.
34 left, cleared for takeoff, Speedbird 747 Heavy, thank you. Okay, lineup items.
Roger.
Okay, let's line up here and we'll get going.
Over to departure, 30 X-ray.
Always good practice.
I'm ready to go.
To check final first. And we are very lightly loaded today for a quick, short 1.5 hour flight to San Francisco. So this is going to be a very short takeoff roll. This is going to be a super short takeoff roll. We're gonna take off like a rocket here. Take off.
Check.
Okay, let's get going. Just let the engine stabilize there. Thrust ref.
Check.
Hold.
80 knots, thrust set.
Checked.
V1, rotate. Positive rate.
Gear up.
Gear up.
All right, watch Speedbird soar here.
Departure, Boogie November 113 Sierra X-ray, climbing through 5200.
All right, so we're coming up on 2,000 feet there in a hurry, obviously.
Sierra X-ray, Cascade departure, radar contact, climb maintain 10,000.
Climb maintain 0,000, 3 Sierra X-ray.
Flaps 5.
Speed checked.
Flaps
5.
Flaps up. Flaps 1.
Flaps 5 green. Speed checked. Flaps 1.
Flaps up.
Flaps up.
Okay, that was far too much happening far too quickly there. I told you we're gonna climb like a rocket. All right, just like that, we were at 2,000 feet. That's the first time I think in a while that I've leveled off a 747 at our initial climb altitude on departure before we were handed off to departure. That was super quick. But I kind of anticipated that, which is why I hopped back in the cockpit there, because I knew something like that was probably going to happen. Otherwise, I would have given you more lingering views. Seattle departure, we'll see Speedbird 747 Heavy.
1 to go.
Seattle departure, good evening, Speedbird 747 Heavy, level 2,000 feet.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, Seattle departure, radar contact, climb maintain 15,000.
Climb and maintain 15,000, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, up to 15,000. Okay, up we go. After takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. Landing gear. Up and off. Flaps. Up. After takeoff checklist complete.
Okay, co-pilot's going to go through that on her own. Should have gotten the weather radar on earlier. Just did that now. But we're going to climb up like a rocket now to flight level, or 15,000 rather. Holy cow. Already up at 15 degrees pitch up, and we're climbing out at 6,000 feet per minute. Holy cow. Okay. I should have said climb 2 on the thrust there. Let me see if I can do that real. You know what, it doesn't matter. Let's just climb up like a rocket.
There's some vectors for battleground.
The faster we get up here, the faster, the better the chances that we're out of some congested or airspace that other traffic could be in, and the faster we'll get vectors to either ping.
747 Heavy, south departure.
Say again for Speedbird 747 Heavy.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, turn left heading 200, vectors for battleground.
Left heading 200, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, left heading 200. And I gotta make sure I'm not so engrossed in either catching up on chat or giving you folks a running commentary that I forget to listen in to what ATC wants us to do.
Clearance radio check.
Okay, a little bit of a stutter there. That's kind of what happens here in the Drzewiecki, Seattle scenery area. Always a few stutters now and again. Okay. All right. Look at this livery, though. That's spectacular. Okay, we're above this layer of clouds here.
Baron 666 here, ACO, contact Seattle Center 121.4.
And out of curiosity, how are the audio levels for the engine sound versus the ATC audio from Pilot Edge versus my own voice volume here?
To release the cabin crew.
Go for it.
Cool.
I like how this co-pilot always goes cool whenever I say it's okay to go ahead and do something. All right, let me catch up on chat here. Absolutely Aviation, sorry I missed you earlier. Welcome on board, absolutely. Welcome on board. Matthew 4 with the all caps there saying power up those engines. Absolutely. Matthew 4, we sure did. It truly is a Speedbird, and indeed it is their expert pilot, and absolutely says the 747 carrying helium. There you go.
666 here, ACO.
It was certainly rocketing up for sure.
North bend altimeter 2995. Clear direct north bend VOR, cross north bend at or above 6,000. Cleared ILS 25 approach, report procedure for an inbound.
Okay, we're now at our climb speed about 10,000 feet, 325 knots, and we're still climbing out at about 5,000 feet per minute.
Heavy, contact Seattle Center 126.6.
One to go.
Seattle Center 126.6, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, and I'm really hoping that we level off at 15,000 and don't rocket right through it. Okay, 126.6 there. This is what I get for flying a very lightly loaded 747 on such a short flight. A lot more things to worry about than normal. Okay, thankfully the PMDG autopilot is doing its job and is leveling us off at 15,000. All right. Seattle Center, good evening. Speedbird 747 Heavy, 15,000.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, Seattle Center, hello. Clear direct battleground, climbing tempo level 230.
Clear direct battleground, climb maintain flight level 230, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, up to flight level 230. And once we start climbing, let me go ahead and go direct battleground here. And let's go LNAV up here on the autopilot. Okay, proceeding direct battleground, climbing up to flight level 230. Now let's go ahead and start getting some more lights on here as it starts to get dark here in the Pacific Northwest. Let's get our logo light on there. And let's get the glare shield light on as well, and the overhead panel lights on as well. All right, fantastic. All right, we're climbing out here. Coming up in our transition altitude in no time. We're either a controller's dream or a controller's nightmare, right? I'm not sure which, but we're one of those. Either a controller's dream or a controller's nightmare. Okay, we're through transition there.
Contact Seattle Center 121.4.
Set standard.
Standard set.
Seattle Center 121.4. Was that for Speedbird 747 Heavy?
Seattle 747 Heavy negative. That was not for you.
Okay. Oh, traffic alert. Why are we getting a traffic alert? He is way, way below us. Okay. All right, so let's see.
That's for you. Contact Seattle Center 125.1. We'll see ya. Speedbird 747, Seattle Center.
125.1 for Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay. Let me just go ahead and put that in.
1 to go.
Seattle Center Speedbird 747 Heavy, flight level 224 for 230.
Speedbird 747, Seattle Center, climb and maintain flight level 390.
Climb and maintain flight level 390, Speedbird 747 Heavy.
1130 Sierra X-ray, Seattle Center, are you with me?
Yep.
Okay, all the way up to 390 there. And let's take a look here. Cruising level is flight level 390. It's recommending an optimum flight level of 410 there. Actually 405. We'll stay at 390, it's no big deal. I think the winds probably favor cruising at flight level 390 anyway. One thing I want to do here real quick is make sure that I want to make sure that I don't have auto step climbs enabled here. Because the last time I flew this, I think I was doing a, yeah, thank God. I was doing a long range flight, so I don't want auto step climbs enabled. Spots at top of descent is fine. Okay, let's go to the progress page. We got another 51 miles to go to our top of climb, and 610 miles to go to San Francisco. All right. Oh, we're still leveled off there at 230. Want to make sure we continue our climb. There we go. Continuing that climb there. Always want to make sure you click on altitude, on the altitude intervention button. Make sure the climb continues. And we got a few more of those stutters here, obviously, because we're flying, I think, almost, we can't really see it, but, oh, we can actually. There's downtown Seattle off to the left side of the airplane. Beautiful views there, although the textures have not fully popped in yet on a couple of the buildings downtown. There's the Space Needle. You can see a couple of ferries down in Puget Sound. There's the ferry there. And you've got the stadiums there and everything. That's pretty cool. Beautiful views there through these gaps in the clouds. And unfortunately, we're going to have to live with these stutters. It is what it is. Van Tijan, welcome on board. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with us. Wan was saying, goodbye, Jumbo. You've been a great pioneer in aviation. Yeah, so goodbye to the Speedbird 747s, right? Like Hazaru was saying. Hazaru was saying, rant. I like how you actually, Hazaru had to announce that you're ranting there. That's pretty funny. But Hazaru says, rant, I wish people would stop saying goodbye to 747. She will be in the skies for many years to come. You may not fly in her, but your Amazon order might. Well, Hazaru, there, I know what you mean. It is true that the cargo 747s are going to be with us for a very, very long time to come, for sure. And they're going to serve, you know, some of these, you know, current 747s from airlines like British Airways and Qantas might continue, you know, potentially living a second life as Boeing converted freighters and go into service as cargo carriers.
Walker 118,
but it's still not the same, you know. It's not the same as the majesty of a 747 being operated as a passenger carrier. You know, I still think there's kind of a romance to that and a charm to that. Obviously not for the folks in economy. it's never really been the case. but you know, the 747s, especially with the upper deck there, right? These were, you know, it certainly was a symbol of luxury and you know, certain elegance in traveling. Back when these were around. But anyway, anyway, I just don't think it's the same, unfortunately. But hey, it is what it is. Okay, just turn off the sounds there. Let's get a little bit of background music going here. Pull up some ambient music here. That way, the engine sounds aren't drowning out the sounds of ATC audio and everything else. Okay, let's see. I wanted to pull up... what did I want to pull up here? There we go. Let's do that one. All right, we'll have a little bit of background audio going there. Let's get some beautiful cinematic shots here of the Queen of the Skies as we climb out. And I'll catch up on chat. Hazaru was saying burn. Well, what are you referring to there, Hazaru? I wasn't intending anything I said as kind of a disagreement with what you said. I would think I was sort of saying yes and no to what you were saying. Hazaru says climbs to 35,000 feet at 15,000 feet per minute. Yeah. Austin Abraham, welcome on board. Hope you're doing fantastic, Austin. Thanks for hanging out with us. Austin says it's sad to see this bird retire. Sure, absolutely. You know, especially this beautiful livery and these beautiful colors on the British Airways 747. It's super sad to see this airplane go for sure. I think this is an absolutely fantastic retro livery that British Airways chose to repaint the 747 with. Expert Pilot, sorry I missed you earlier, but absolutely, we'll catch you later, Expert. If we don't catch you for the landing, you can certainly watch the video on demand later, and if not, we'll certainly catch you next stream. No worries at all. All right, let me go back here because I know I missed a ton in chat. Matthew Liu, I'm sorry I deleted all your messages there. I do apologize. I really do apologize that Streamlabs decided to go postal on you and delete your messages, but I'm looking through these messages though. Matthew Lee was saying earlier that you have the alpha, or rather beta now installed for MSFS, but you still miss P3D and PMDG 747. Yeah, that's one of the things, right? The systems depth of the PMDG aircraft, or the FS Labs aircraft, or the Leonardo Majestic aircraft, etc. It sure is hard to beat, isn't it? It's very, very hard to get that kind of systems depth elsewhere. And so, yeah, totally. Without giving away too much about the alpha and beta.
6605 Delta Oakland.
You sure do miss that.
Ground, you need to cut that clearance, sir.
Let's see, what else did I miss here in chat? I know I missed a ton from earlier. Portland was saying in regard to this particular airport Payne Field earlier, the taxi time here is almost as good as pushing back from gate 1 at Kai-Tech to depart runway 13. When you did that, the ground controller handed you off the tower as soon as you started your taxi. Yeah, totally. Yeah, 13 is right there, right next to the terminal there, so that totally makes sense. Expert Pilot was saying you think Virgin retired all their A340-600s as well, but the A340s don't get as much love attention as the 747s, A380s. Yeah, totally. The A340 is kind of an interesting aircraft, right? It's kind of the red-headed stepchild in Airbus's fleet of aircraft, right? It's the aircraft that served, you know, a very, very kind of niche purpose in a very, very niche market, and rapidly found itself, you know, outmatched in terms of fuel efficiency by some of the twin-engine aircraft that had, you know, similar range that came on the market. And so the A340 never really, you know, captured, you know, the enthusiasm or you know, the public imagination, really. You know, it was kind of a very odd aircraft that served a super niche market, and so there's not too many people that love the A340 too much. I think it has a beauty to it. You know, I think it has some nice lines. But it's one of those aircraft that you think, you know, you look at it and you're like, only its mother could really love this aircraft, truly, right? It's such a niche airplane, for sure. Let's see, what else did I miss here? Yeah, I think I got all caught up earlier, actually. All right. Hasru says the poor ones. Yeah, oh, that's what you're talking about, Hasru. The poor folks in economy. Yeah, totally. They're certainly suffering in back there. Boy, they're packed like sardines in a can, aren't they? It's really, really unfortunate just how much airlines have moved away from seats that are comfortable to seating arrangements that are just purely existing for the purposes of packing, people in airplanes like sardines in a can, right? I mean, I was looking at some old, British Airways ads from way back in the day, from the 70s and 80s, because I was trying to find a nice little clip here to show you at the start of the stream, but unfortunately I couldn't find one that was that I was absolutely certain, right, was copyright free. Wanted to make sure I didn't get in any trouble with YouTube there and get a copyright strike. So unfortunately I couldn't show you an ad, but obviously if you look at any of these old ads, whether they're posters or video ads from way back in the day, the 70s and 80s and heck even 60s from British Airways or any of these carriers actually from back then, boy, you look at economy class seats back then and they were basically comparable to business class seats today, right? And I'm not referring to like international flight type business class seats, right, that are full that can lay all the way back, that sort of thing. But still, I mean, they can pitch, that has pitch that can go all the way back. But I'm referring rather to just the width of the seats from back then were so much bigger compared to what they are in economy today. It's just amazing, how much more comfort you could get when you were traveling on airplanes back then. It's super unfortunate that the mad rush to lower costs and just generate as much revenue as possible, right, has basically forced a move away from anything resembling passenger comfort or attention to passenger comfort, right, and just purely towards economics and generating as much revenue as possible. For it's really unfortunate how much things have changed in aviation. The romance of flying is not something that really exists anymore, which is really, really sad. Let's see, what else did I miss here? Austin Abraham was, Maxie, hello to you. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to answer your question here in a second, Maxie. Ines Durelli, welcome to you as well. Hope you're doing well. Austin Abraham was asking, do I like the One Plus series, especially the Nord? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, Austin. What are you referring to when you say the One Plus series? Maybe it should occur to me, but it's kind of late in the evening, and I think I might be completely, it just might be going completely over my head. You have to refresh my memory. What are you referring to when you say the One Plus series? Maxie was saying, what mic do I have? Maxie, I've got a relatively low quality mic. I've got a headset mic on my Corsair H60. So I've got a Corsair H60. I'm just using the mic that came packaged with that. I probably should upgrade at some point to a much better quality microphone. Like a podcasting microphone on a what do you call it, on a boom. That's what I probably should upgrade to. If you find folks in chat have any suggestions on good mics that you can buy for under 150, maybe even under 100, let me know your thoughts and suggestions, because I do think it's time for me to upgrade, because I stream plenty enough. I probably should be considering upgrading to a higher quality mic. So what I have set up right now in my Streamlabs OBS is I have a whole bunch of mic filters set up. That way, that at least compensates a little bit for some of the flaws and deficiencies and poor quality inherent in this particular microphone. And by the way, In case I miss a transmission on frequency, folks, feel free to let me know, because you know, I have a tendency to just gab away here and completely miss calls. I don't do it in real life, I promise. In real life, I'm always the person that's like waving my finger when I hear one of my passengers talking, when I hear ATC talking. But when I'm streaming, clearly I'm not as good at doing that. But beautiful views here over the Pacific Northwest. Let's take a look. We had a couple of the volcanoes over there. I think that's... is that Mount Adams? I think that's Mount Adams, and over in the distance you can see Mount Hood as well, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the Columbia River, of course, going towards Portland. Actually, hold on a second. Is this the Columbia River? If it is, I'm not sure what that particular peak is. If Portland Aviation's still on channel, you might know better, actually. Rice Cooker 2000, hello to you. Hope you're doing well.
Center 135.15.
And below us there is Mount St. Helens. So that's the site of the famous, or rather infamous...
747, contact Seattle Center 135.15.
Seattle Center 13515, Speedbird 747. Okay, 13515. There is another example of me completely tuning out...
Walker 118, Denver Centennial Airport, 11 o'clock, 101 miles, port the field in sight.
Completely tuning out
Walker 118,
ATC transmissions there.
Left. Walker 118, clear visual approach 217 right.
I thought I heard him say Denver Center, though. I don't know. Maybe that's what threw me. I thought I heard him say Denver Center, but I might be mistaken. Obviously, I wasn't paying enough attention. Seattle Center, Speedbird 747, flight level 390.
Super 747, Seattle, good evening.
Okay. All right, let's keep this going here. Where was I? Oh, yeah, we were talking about Mount St. Helens. Boy, I can't wait to see this in the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. That should be fantastic to look at when the new Microsoft Flight Simulator comes out. This whole part of the country, actually the world in general, but this part of the country in particular should be absolutely spectacular in the new Flight Simulator.
Walker 118, contact Centennial Tower, 18.9, we'll see you.
Boy, keep getting these stutters here. And every time we have a stutter, my heart sinks just a little bit. Oh, that is actually Mount Hood. That's Mount Hood right there. And I know why we're having these stutters. We're having these stutters because we're overflying Flightbeam's PDX below us.
Walker 118, Centennial Tower,
and we've got
right,
the city of Portland and Orbeck Cityscape Portland below us as well. So obviously this is going to cause some issues with stutters. Super unfortunate that we're flying right over this pretty complex scenery. You know, back in the old FSX days, I don't know if you folks did this, but, you know, we had the 32-bit issues back then. We had those old nightmarish out-of-memory issues. I don't know about you folks, but you know what I used to do? I would go through... back then, if I had a long flight planned, especially over some of these complex sceneries, I would go through the flight plan, right? And or the path, the map, and look at the flight path, and I would look at every complex scenery that was along that flight path, and I would actually go through my scenery library and disable all those sceneries so that to avoid or minimize the risk of an out-of-memory error. And it was absolutely horrific and involved plenty of swearing and yelling and throwing things and tearing of hair and you know, gnashing of teeth when Flight Sim crashed anyway, despite going through all the effort of disabling those entries in the scenery library. But you remember those days. You remember what it was like. All right. Let's pull up another tune here. Ooh, actually, I know why. There we go. All right, let's see. Let's pull that one up. That way we have a little bit more background audio there. Okay, let me try to catch up on chat here. Hazaru was saying the Blue Yeti mic is... Yeah, I've heard about that one, Hazaru. I'm going to have to look into that one for sure. Let's see, what else did I miss here? Hazaru was asking, did I hear about the 737 MAX that Ryanair had Boeing make for them? I think it has 27 centimeters of legroom. Well, you know, it makes total sense that if if any airline had to find a way to make the MAX worse than it already is, it had to be Ryanair, right? No offense to folks, you know, who may be viewers of this channel who might be Ryanair pilots. I actually happen to know one who's a viewer of this channel. But no offense to those pilots. But holy cow, if any airline could find a way to make the MAX even worse than it already is, it had to be Ryanair, right? There you go. I was thinking it'd be either Ryanair or I'm trying to think. No, Southwest would never do something like that, so it had to be Ryanair. Southwest actually has a pretty nice reputation. Enos Girelli, thanks for hanging out with us. I think I caught you earlier, right? Hazru says it must have been fantastic in the late 1950s when the jet age was just dawning and air travel was skyrocketing. Absolutely, Hazru. Boy, you know, yeah, it was a different age. It was a different time, you know. Obviously, air safety, one of the issues with back then, right, is that air safety was clearly not at the same level as it is today. Airline crashes were quite frequent and often occurring for causes that could easily have been preventable today, given everything we know in hindsight and given all the lessons we've built, you know, from decades of kind of learning from these kinds of crashes, right? But it was obviously
05 Delta Oakland Tower, runway 33, clear for takeoff.
A much more romantic time to fly, with a lot more, you know, what do you call it? Bells and whistles in terms of the experience of flying. But in terms of the aviation safety aspects of things back in the day, that was probably the one thing that was kind of a bit of a drawback, right? Austin Abraham was asking OnePlus phones. That's what you were talking about. Oh, you mean like, oh, are you talking about Apple iPhones there, Austin Abraham? I've still got the, if that's what you're talking about, I've still got the, what do you call it? The old, I've still got the 7 Plus, right? Or is it the 6 Plus? Whatever the version of iPhone is, the last version that came out with the fingerprint reader. You know, the finger scanner. I really don't like the face scanner thing. You know, I think it limits my use of the iPhone, so I never upgraded after the Apple stopped having, you know, the fingerprint scanner. But that's the version I have. Maxi says, yeah, those filters make your mic sound great. Yeah, totally. So my mic itself is pretty poor quality, all things considered. It's really, really low quality. You know, it's a headset mic. It's not exactly the best quality, but those filters certainly help out a lot. I found a couple of YouTube videos. I can't remember exactly who made them, but whoever made them was, you know, really, really good at kind of explaining these things that I had a hard time understanding. Because I have no idea what, you know, I couldn't make head or tail of some of these filters, but the videos that I found on YouTube are really, really helpful. So I set up my filters after watching those videos. But I gotta tell you, just looking at those filter settings now, I still can't, you know, months after I've set them up, now that I've kind of forgotten what they all mean, I have no idea what to do if I lose my filter settings. So I made sure to take screenshots that way, in case for some reason Streamlabs decides to reset any of my settings, I can go back and and redo them all over again, hopefully. All right, let's see. Let's step back here into the cabin, and we'll take a look at it from this side. Actually, let's go over to this side, towards the sunset there. Okay. All right, so let's see. What else did I miss in chat here? Kyle Longley, welcome on board. Kyle, hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see. Rice Cooker says, you have a quick question. You keep hearing me say below the line. What does that mean? So Rice Cooker, below the line. So essentially, there's some checklists, right? Or some parts of a checklist that have a segment that is
to parking.
A segment that is above the line and a segment that is below the line. A line in a checklist is essentially a natural break that signals that after that break, you want to continue the checklist. And that break is there for a number of good reasons. So let me give you one example.
Any particular region you requested 17 right? 17.
You can have a before takeoff checklist to the line and below the line. So a before takeoff checklist to the line is essentially everything up until you get to the runway hold point.
Okay.
Once you get to the runway hold point, before you get to the runway hold point, you can do your before takeoff checklist to the line. And once you've been given takeoff clearance, or once you've been given clearance to taxi onto the runway, line up and wait, then you'd have the before takeoff checklist continue below the line. So the line is there to essentially provide a natural break point so that, that kind of makes sense for that part of the checklist. So that's what to the line and below the line mean in a checklist, if that makes any sense. So let me see if I can give you another example. You might have...
and who called out of Telluride?
You might have a descent checklist to the line and a descent checklist below the line. You might also have a climb checklist to the line and climb checklist above the line. A climb checklist to the line is essentially the line refers to once you're above 10,000 feet. So if you think about it, in the checklist, once you get about 10,000 feet, what you want to do is turn off the landing lights, right? Typically. So below the line, or rather to the line, is you want to do all your climb checklist items like gear up and off, flaps up, etc. To the line below 10,000 feet. And once you get about 10,000 feet, you turn off the landing lights and you say before after climb checklist or climb checklist completed below the line. So that's another example of sort of a natural break in a checklist that requires the to the line, below the line split there, if that makes any sense. So hopefully that helps there. Rice Cooker. Hazard was saying you can't wait to fly VFR over some Nordic fjords. Absolutely, Hazard. That is going to be beautiful for sure in the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's going to be absolutely fantastic. Rice Cooker says autocorrect keeps messing. Yeah, totally. Autocorrect messes with everybody.
TBM 946
Autocorrect is totally totally something that messes people up for sure.
TBM 960 radar contact 7 miles east of the Cones VOR.
Kyle Longley was saying iPhone. I'm not going to get into that. As I said, I've got a pretty old variant of the iPhone, so I have no intentions to upgrade until they bring the until I'm absolutely sure I want to move away from the fingerprint scanner that I have right now in my current iPhone. Kyle Longley was saying you have your first flight starting your PPL tomorrow. That is awesome, Kyle. That's fantastic. And if I remember correctly, Kyle, you are down in Florida, right? You're in Pensacola, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's fantastic, Kyle. That is truly awesome. What aircraft are you going to be flying for your PPL? That is super awesome. That is super awesome, Kyle.
11857.
Yeah, you certainly have to let us know the next time we catch you on stream how the PPL training is going. Are you planning, Kyle, to do it over a short period of time? Or are you planning to kind of, just kind of go as you find time? I'm just kind of curious if you're planning to do it on kind of a schedule that has you completing the PPL training relatively quickly, or is it more of a kind of, go at your own pace sort of thing? Let's see. Rice Cooker, absolutely. You're more than welcome. Thanks for the question. Hopefully I explained that okay. But there we go. Andy B, welcome on board. Hope you're doing well, Andy. Andy was asking if I lost all my engines, could I drift from where you are now? I don't think I could drift to San Francisco, Andy. I doubt I'll be able to make it a whole hour. If I remember correctly, the glide ratio on the 747, what is it? Is it 20 to 1? Let me very quickly check on this. What is the glide ratio on the 747? The glide ratio on the 747 is 17 to 1. So what that means is for every mile that we're up, we're going to be able to, assuming zero winds, no headwind, no tailwind, for every mile that we're up in the air, we're going to be able to travel 17 miles horizontally, right? Or 17 miles over the ground. So we're up at flight level 390. So let's do the math on this here real quick. 39,000 divided by 52, I think 5280 is a mile, right? So that's 7.38, 7.4, actually 7.3 times 17. So the most distance we might be able to make it, again, this is ideal situation, assuming no winds whatsoever, it would be 124 miles. So that's as far as we can make it. Now, obviously, you're never going to assume, as a glider pilot myself in real life, by the way, you're never going to assume that you can make it that far. You're going to want to find an airport as close as possible in the unlikely event that you lost all 4 engines. So there's no way we'd make it an hour. You know, it's just impossible to make it an hour with a 17-to-1 glide ratio. The best you can hope for is probably around 100 miles. But that's about it. So there you go. There you go, Andy, no worries. Kyle Longley was saying a Piper Warrior. Awesome, Kyle. That is the aircraft that I learned to fly in myself, actually. I learned to fly in a Piper Warrior 2 with a flying club. That was a ton of fun. And I'm glad I joined a flying club, actually, when I did my PPL, because that really, really reduced the amount of money I had to pay. I think the amount of money that I saved over the renting an aircraft from the FBO and just, you know, being a part, you know, essentially being a member of the flying club, you become a part owner of the airplane, at least as long as you're a member. And this was in college, right? This was in university. So it was a university flying club. And all I had to pay was, like, you know, a yearly membership fee, which was incredibly low, to be honest with you. I mean, this was, you know, in the Midwest. This was like about 15 years ago, but still, it was an incredibly low rate. So I think I was saving about $20 per hour using the Flying Club Warrior versus using the FBO's Warriors. And so that was pretty good. That was a super, super awesome deal. But I love the Piper Warrior. Me personally, I recommend low wing all the way for flight training. Honestly, it makes no difference whether you fly high wing or low wing when you're flight training. But my personal view about Pipers versus Cessnas is Pipers teach you,
I think I might have gotten the
especially the Warrior, right? The Warrior teaches you fuel management. That's one thing. The other thing it teaches you is how to deal with ground effect on landing way better than the Cessna does. And the 172s do. So the 172 high wing, obviously, the ground effect isn't as pronounced as the ground effect in Piper Warrior. In the Warrior, especially some of the, you know, like the Warrior 2, the Warriors that have, you know, not the Hershey bar wing, but, you know, the newer kind of more tapered wing. In those Warriors, right, the float, the ground effect that you get is really, really pronounced. So you have to compensate for that when you're flaring. And that certainly teaches you how to land the airplane better. And coming back to fuel management, you know, obviously the Piper Warrior, you have to switch fuel tanks. You know, usually they recommend, like, you know, around takeoff and landing, you know, maybe every 15 minutes. At least that's the way I was taught. And my instructor taught me, you know, when you're in the cruise, switch your fuel tanks every 20 minutes. So yeah, I would, you know, either have a timer, or I would mentally remember, you know, look at the clock and switch. You know, I would have a little checklist on my knee board saying switch your fuel tanks every 20 minutes, and I note down, you know, the time that I switched the fuel tanks last.
Purple 654 Bravo Romeo with you, 11,500.
And I feel like that kind of really taught you something that the Cessna doesn't teach you during flight training, which is, you know, the importance of fuel management. In the Cessna, you know, you can just set your fuel tanks or your fuel tank selector to both, right? And you never have to worry about it again. In the Piper Warrior, you can't do that. It's either left, right, or off. So I remember you turn on the fuel pump, check the fuel pressure, switch a tank, check the fuel pressure, switch off the fuel pump, check the fuel pressure, and if everything was good, everything was good. So that certainly was, I think, something good to have during flight training. Helped me become a better pilot for sure. Okay, let's see. Kyle Longley was saying probably about 6 months. You want to get it right when you turn. Awesome there, Kyle. Right when you turn 17. Gotcha, Kyle. That's super awesome. That'd be an awesome birthday present to yourself for sure, to get your PPL check ride passed by the time you turn 17. That sounds super cool. Hopefully that works out for you, and good luck. Andy B was saying, understood, just curious. Great channel, keep up the great. Well, thank you so much, Andy. Much appreciate the kind words. Yeah, totally. So glide ratios and you know, it's really amazing when you think about it, right? The glide ratio on a 747 is as good as a glide ratio on some of the lower performance two-seat gliders that you initially get your glider training in. You know, I think if you learn to glide in a Schweizer 233 or something like that, you know, the glide ratio might be around that number. You know, it might be, it's not that great. So it's pretty impressive, right, when you think about it, because you've got these high aspect ratio wings, obviously, on the 747, so that contributes to a relatively high glide ratio. Compare that to the glide ratio on a 172. You know, it's much, much lower on a 172. So it's pretty impressive how long or how far you're able to glide the 747, especially when you're up here in the high flight levels. It really is quite impressive. And being a glider pilot, of course, you know, we do need to do a Condor, like a stream on channel at some point featuring Condor Soaring Simulator. I really do want to do that so we can talk about gliding in a lot more detail on stream. And so that I can also introduce you fine folks to another awesome flight simulator that doesn't receive enough love from the flight sim community, which is Condor. But, you know, when you're gliding in real life, you're always acutely aware of the distance, how far away you are from the airport. You're acutely aware of, or, you know, a sufficiently safe field that you can land out at if you need to, if you're too far away from an airport. And you're acutely aware of your own sort of personal margin of safety, right? So we talked about from this altitude, the furthest we can go is 124 miles, assuming zero winds.
Seattle Center, Mooney, November 1130.
With the tailwind, that extends a little bit, obviously, but you know, when you're gliding in real life, you never assume that you can glide that full distance. You always divide that either by half or, you know, if you're feeling extremely confident and if you're extremely experienced as a glider pilot, you might say that you might be able to make it 75% of the way.
Question: do you like a response when you give out Altimeter on the initial contact?
But you know, only the most experienced glider pilots that I know would ever say, okay, I can glide, you know, 20 miles. So I'm going to take 75% of that. Only the most experienced glider pilots I know would ever do that, because when you're gliding, you know, in real life, you know, when you're flying, you're always going to run into, doesn't matter what time of the day is, you're always going to run into, you have the potential to run into sinking air at some point. And when you run into sinking air, boy, you got to get out of that sinking air as quickly as you can, you know, and that can certainly reduce your glide distance a significant amount. So you always factor in a significant margin of safety. In my case, you know, I use 50% because I am very, very new, you know, to gliding. I've been gliding for, you know, coming up on 5 years now, but even I, you know, would never presume to say I can make it more than 50% of the way, as per the calculations that I have. Wow, beautiful views here as the sun sets over the Pacific in the distance. Okay, let's go back to some cinematic shots here. Some golden hour flying here over southern Oregon. We're coming up on Medford, Oregon. And we're going to be crossing over into the Golden State, the fine state of California, in just a few short minutes. Aloha State, welcome on board, Aloha. Aloha to you, hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with us. Mahalo to you, Aloha, for hanging out with us. Hope you're doing well. Aloha State, I'm assuming from your moniker there that you're located in Hawaii. If so, mahalo for hanging out. Hope you're doing well. Let's see, what else did I miss here? Kyle Longy was saying, you bet the glide ratio on the 787-8 is pretty good. Yeah, I can imagine it's pretty good there, Kyle. Let's actually take a look. I'm not going to guess here. I'm going to take a look and see what the glide ratio is on the 787. The glide ratio of the 787 is around 20, so it's a little higher than the 747, but not a whole lot higher. You know, obviously what contributes to higher glide ratio, I think it has slightly higher aspect ratio wings, if I'm not mistaken, but what probably contributes more to the better glide ratio on the 787 is the fact that there's minimal riveting, right? Actually, there's no riveting on the 787 because it's an all-composite fuselage, and so that helps significantly, right, in terms of reducing drag and improving the glide ratio. And let's see, what was the glide ratio on a 172? So the glide ratio on a 172 is 9:1. So a 747 has nearly twice the glide ratio of a Cessna 172, which kind of makes sense. You know, much higher aspect ratio wings, much cleaner fuselage. Landing gear is not fixed. That helps a lot with drag, right? So you got that. All right, fantastic. Let's see. Kyle Longley was saying, is gliding just about maintaining most efficient airspeed and staying level? No, it's not, Kyle. So one of the unfortunate aspects of gliding is that we refer to it as gliding. In reality, it's soaring, right? Soaring as in soaring like the birds. So the gliding, glider flying, sailplane flying, soaring, whatever you want to call it, it's actually officially a sport, right? So you can actually compete in glider competitions all around the world. In fact, every year, I'm not sure how much of this is going on due to COVID, unfortunately, but every year we have tons of glider competitions all around the US, all around the world, and you have glider pilots that compete to see how fast they can get around a course. And the way to do that, obviously, is you start at maybe, depends on how high you want to release off the ground. But usually what you do is you get a tow plane to kick you up. And, we'll see this when we do a flight in Condor. But typically, you get a tow plane to take you up. And the tow plane, typically the tow pilots that fly you, and I'm a tow pilot myself, actually, what we always do as tow pilots is we try to find thermals, and usually tow pilots are also experienced or relatively experienced glider pilots, and so tow pilots are usually pretty good at finding where thermals are. So the tow pilot will usually try and position the glider in the best spot to find a thermal, and once the glider pilot feels the thermal, you'll hear a nice, really happy sound from the audio variometer, and you'll see the variometer starting to spike. At that point, you release from the tow plane, and you start soaring in the thermal. So you ever see a bird soaring? Birds typically find lift in thermals, and that's how they gain altitude, despite not needing, without needing to flap their wings. That is how birds like eagles and falcons and heck, turkey vultures, any kind of bird, right, swallows, etc., can find lift, and they're very, very skilled at finding lift in thermals, and essentially they fly circles in the thermals and gain altitude that way. And so that's what you do as a glider pilot. You find lift, and then you fly circles. The radius of the circle you fly, how tight your bank is, how steep your bank is rather, is completely dependent on how wide the thermal is. So you try to stay in the region of strongest lift, you gain enough altitude, and then you can start, you leave the thermal, and you can essentially go and try to find the next thermal somewhere off in the distance where you can find some more lift, and that way, hopefully you can stay either at your current altitude or keep finding or keep increasing altitude in thermals as you go to wherever it is you're trying to go, around a course. So glider competitions, essentially, you have a gaggle of gliders, right, that are soaring, and what they do is they have a course, right? So the course might be a triangular course. It could be any shape, right? But typically you have a list of waypoints along the course that you have to cross. And what you do is there's a certain start time. You'll find a gaggle of glider pilots or gliders soaring in that thermal. As soon as the clock hits 0, you all race for the start line. And once you're through the start line, you proceed on to the next waypoint. Typically, when you find a thermal, you'll find all the other glider pilots rushing for that same thermal, and they all plan on getting enough altitude to where they feel comfortable leaving that thermal and moving on towards the next waypoint. And that's the way you race around a course. It's all about skill in finding a thermal. It's all about judgment in terms of, okay, when can I leave a thermal and when can I find the next thermal in order to make this around the course, or in order to make it around the course faster than my competitors. So glider competitions are a very real thing. You got to Google them. They're super fun to fly in. And glider flying can be either as calm or as intense as you want it to be. I'll tell you one thing, thermals are not, it's pretty bumpy in most thermals. Obviously, you've got rising air due to convection, and it's pretty bumpy in most thermals. So you work up a sweat when you're flying gliders for sure. Okay, hopefully I didn't miss a frequency there, or a frequency change. Let's see how we're doing in terms of my connection to Pilot Edge. Still connected, hopefully. Yes, indeed, we are. We're still connected. That's great. Want to make sure we still are. That's great. Got my Pilot Edge console there. Let's see. What I wanted to do here was go ahead and open up another audio file to play here. Let's go with that one right there. Okay. Where was I? Let me catch up on chat here. Austin Abraham was asking, what's the worst situation you have faced while flying, DJ? Oh boy, Austin. So I haven't faced any like real serious emergencies, right? I've had a couple of incidents where I've had alternator failures in rental aircraft that I've been renting. So the first time I had this happen was actually on, I think, my third or fourth solo flight. So obviously it was a local solo flight, right? I was just kind of flying to the practice area and then back. So I was flying the practice area to do some stalls, that sort of thing, and then I was flying back to do a little bit of circuit work, you know, in the pattern. And essentially I remember the radio starting to get really scratchy. And that's your first sign that you have an electrical issue in the airplane, right? But I was so inexperienced at that point in time. It was just my third or fourth solo that I didn't know what was going on. I just assumed that either I had my squelch settings set incorrectly, or I assumed something was wrong with the radio. Big mistake, right? It should have been like, oh my God, you know, something's clearly off here. I should probably, you know, my instructor's on the radio. I can get in touch with my instructor. What I probably should have been doing was just get on Unicom and get my instructor and say, you know, hey, you know, this is going on. Am I still good to go? But I wasn't thinking, you know, that way. I was full of confidence and full of enthusiasm. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to take off. We're just going to go to the practice areas, no problem. And then when I started coming back, the radio issues started getting worse and worse and worse. And I started, you know, I asked for a touch and go. And then I wised up when I realized how bad the radios were. The radio issue was on short final, and I just told the control tower, hey, I've got some radio issues. You know, I'm just going to call it a full stop on this one. And the controller said, yeah, hey, that's probably a good call. You know, I can hear that your radio issue, you know, you clearly have a radio issue as well. Your microphone is you know, there's an issue in terms of what I'm hearing from you. So that was a good call. You know, basically. Did a full stop, taxi to the ramp. You know, my instructor, who was listening to the whole thing, obviously came out to greet me on the ramp once I shut down the engines and everything. And we opened up the cowling, and we could clearly see, you know, there was an alternator issue. So that was a close call. You know, could have been worse. Potentially. And then another time, you know, I was flying with a group of people, and we had an alternator failure in IFR. Actually, we had a full electrical failure in IFR, and that was not fun at all, especially since we were in Class Bravo when it happened. But thankfully, we had an experienced airline pilot at the helm, you know, with well over 20,000 hours, and we handled that okay. So that worked out. But those are the two situations I've been in that I can think of. So there we go. Hazru was asking, or Hazru was saying, you remember doing your first flight in ADC about 10 years ago in the Grob T1. Oh, how about that, Hazru? And then a year later, doing your first glider flight, and on takeoff and rotating, just a big whoosh, and then a sudden, oh my God, Hazru, you're leaving it right there. We got. I am in suspense, my friend. Hazru, I think we're all in suspense. We want to hear how the story finishes. so give us the rest of the story as quickly as you can. But I am holding my breath in suspense there to hear what the rest of that story is. Kyle Longley was saying, you remember that from doing all the gliding missions in FSX.
Over to Seattle approach 120.4.
Yeah, totally there, Kyle. Yeah, I remember the gliding missions at FSX.
You can contact Oakland Center 132.2, 32.2 for Speedbird 747. We'll see ya.
32.2 Speedbird 747. We'll see ya. Thank you. Okay, 32.2. As the sun continues to set here, and we enter Oakland Center airspace. Okay, let me start getting my lights on a bit more here. And let me call up Oakland Center here. Oakland Center, good evening, Speedbird 747 Heavy, flight level 390.
113 Sierra X-ray, Seattle.
Oops, I talked over somebody.
Approach the Boeing Field, altimeter 2985. Let me know if you pick up Juliet Boeing Field, and if you have an approach request.
Oops, not that bright.
Seabird 747, Open Center, good evening. Descend via the Bodega 3 arrival, the San Francisco altimeter 2984.
Descend via the Bodega 3, altimeter 2984 at SFO for Speedbird 29er, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, 2984 in the altimeter. We've been cleared to descend via the Bodega 3. Just going to disregard the pilot response there. Don't have to deal with that. I think we just got a head cancel recall, right? There we go, cancel. Okay. We got another 141 miles to go to our top of descent, but let's go ahead and pull up the Bodega 3 arrival here and make sure that we got everything set up here correctly. Okay, MLBEC about flight level 290. Johnny about flight level 240. Bigelow about 190. Lawzit below 16,000. Bodega at below 13,000. Cork at 11,000, Bricks at 11,000. Okay, that's all accurate there. Let's go ahead and roll our altitude selector here down to 11,000, which is the altitude which we want to cross. Bricks on the Bodega 3 arrival. Okay, and I'm surprised we got our descent instructions this early, but either way, that's good. We can do our approach briefing a little bit earlier in that case. Okay, one thing I want to do here real quick is check on the weather at San Francisco. And the reason I want to do that is see what the winds are doing. Okay, let's see. Winds are 250 at 8 knots. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. Assuming there's no other traffic landing at SFO at the same time, we're going to ask for the circling, the visual circle land 1 right at SFO, and that's what we're going to attempt. So that's what we'll brief for, and hopefully that's what we end up getting. And let me go ahead and set up 2984 here in standby on the altimeter. All right, fantastic. And let's get the engine sounds back there. So we got that going at least. Okay, fantastic. Let's see, what else did I miss here in chat? Hazaru is just... Oh, Hazaru was saying a sudden realization that it was just you and the stick and an instructor in your ear. Totally there, Hazaru. that's one of the things about about doing your first solo, right? Totally, is that realization that you don't have an instructor there to talk to you. But I got to tell you, it's such a confidence builder, right? It is such. It gives you an amazing feeling of empowerment, like an amazing feeling of control and confidence when you do that first solo and you realize, okay, I can actually land a plane by myself. You know, I don't need an instructor talking me through it. That is such an amazing feeling, for sure, doing that first solo. And boy, I gotta tell you, you know, doing my first solo in a powered airplane, you know, you thought you'd never feel that feeling again, right? And then I did my first solo in a glider, and that feeling came back, right? So the thing about a glider, there's no go-arounds. When you commit to land, you're committed to land. You have to put that glider down. There's no go-arounds, no second chances. You have to put that glider down and put it down safely. So it was super awesome to experience, you know, some of the same emotions and feelings of my first powered solo when I did my first glider solo, because it was different enough, and it was it brought back some of those same emotions and some of those same feelings of building confidence as when I did my first solo for my PPL. So that was super awesome. Okay, what did I want to do here? I wanted to do my approach briefing, didn't I? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and plan on that. Gonna pull up 5K player here. Let's go ahead and turn off Windows Media Player. Don't need that anymore. And we wanted to do our approach briefing here. One last thing I want to do here real quick is I wanted to tune in the ATIS frequency at SFO. It's oh boy, there's 3 of them. Let's just put in 118.85 there. Actually, 115.8. Let's do that. No, 118.85. That's the only frequency that makes sense, actually. There we go, 118.85. There we go. We're picking it up, so that's good news. It's very, very staticky, but we are picking up the ATIS sounded like. Yeah, maybe not. There we go.
Visibility 10. Few clouds at 500. Few clouds at 2,500.
Oh, a few clouds at 500.
12. Altimeter 2984. Arriving runways 28 right, 28 left. Departing runways 1 right, 1. Visual approaches in use. VFR delivery. Advise on course heading, altitude, and if flight following is requested. All runway assignments and hold instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Juliet.
Okay, information, Juliet. All right. And you know what I might do? I might set up custom weather here, just so that let's see. I might set up custom weather at SFO, just so we don't have to deal with those low clouds at 500 feet there. So I might do that. That way we can plan on the visual. Okay, let's go to map there. Let's go to SFO. I'm just going to add this. Unfortunately, you can't see it because I've got this on my screen here. And I'm actually going to have the winds coming out slightly out of the north there. 0108, let's say. And I'm going to get rid of the few clouds at 500 and bump up the clouds there to 35. Okay. Next, and let's set this to within 20 nautical miles around SFO. Okay, so there we go. A little bit of a cheat there, but that way we can ensure that we can land on 1 right, and I'm going to let approach know when we request the approach later that we have information Zulu. Information Zulu is how you let pilot edge controllers know, if I'm not mistaken, that you're using custom weather for your approach and arrival. So that's what our plan is going to be. Globe UD is live. Welcome on board. Hope you're doing well, Globe. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see, what did I miss here? Austin Abraham was saying you're looking forward to starting your flight training next year after your aerospace engineering degree. That's awesome, Austin, that you're doing your aerospace engineering degree through an airline cadet program, but you don't know how long that is going to be delayed for. I'm sorry to hear about that, Austin, but hopefully that does, pick back up, and all this COVID stuff isn't with us for too much longer, hopefully. But we'll see what happens, right? Can never be sure in this day and age. Okay. What I wanted to do here is do our approach briefing, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and mirror my iPad screen here. And let's go ahead and pull up the iPad screen. Oops. Up here. And let's go ahead and do our approach briefing. Are you ready for the approach brief?
For it.
Okay, San Francisco ATIS information Juliet is current, but we do have customer weather, so actually information Zulu is current.
113
Winds 0108, 10 station miles visibility, few clouds at 3,500 feet, temperature 17, dew point 12, altimeter 2984. And let's see, we're going to be arriving via actually, is my iPad window showing up on screen there? Hopefully it is. Let me know in case it isn't for whatever reason, but I try to pull that up on my screen in stream, so hopefully it is in fact showing. Okay, but here's the, we're going to be arriving today via the Bodega 3 arrival from over MLBEC. So over MLBEC at flight level 290, on to Johnny at 280 knots between flight level 280 and 240, on to Boogaloo at 280 knots between flight level 230 and 190, on to Lawson at 280 knots below 16,000, Bodega below 13,000, Cork at 250 knots 11,000, Bricks at 11,000. We're going to expect, hopefully, the ILS 28 right approach. We'll see what they give us, though. So we're going to get vectors here for the ILS 28 right. Initial approach fix is Dumba rather. Frequency for the localizer 111.7. Identifier India Golf Whiskey Quebec. Final approach course 284. So C-pin at 3,000 onto Aximal at 1,800 as we go down the glide slope there. And we're going to assume a circle to land. So the MDA for a circle to land to one right, or just any circle to land in general, is 1,560 feet and 3 statute miles visibility for the visibility minimum. So let me go ahead and set that here in the minimums. Oh, I got to set this to rotary, unfortunately. 1 second, let me do that here real quick. One second, I think I know what the problem is here. It looks like the stream is buffering, unfortunately. So I think I know what the problem is. Give me 1 second here.
TDM 946 here. It's me now. It's in the Colorado Springs altimeter 3013.
I'm just going to hide the iPad window there. I'm going to continue the briefing. There's not a whole lot else to talk about with the iPad anyway. 1 second. I think that might be the reason the stream is buffering there, but we'll see. Alvi, Magalo, Alvi, welcome on board. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully the buffering issues will work themselves out there. Yeah, hopefully that sorted itself out, but let me know if the issues are still continuing. It might have been the iPad that I had up there. That might have been the issue. Let me know if that has worked itself out. Hopefully it has. Hopefully it has. Okay, let's get back to the approach briefing here. I want to set up the ILS 28 right in here, and that's what we'll request from Dumba. Execute legs. Let's just make sure all that is looking good. There we go. Okay, let's go back to the progress page there. Okay, so circle land MDA is 1,560 feet. What I want to do here is I want to go to menu, go to PMDG setup, and I want to make sure, actually wait, yeah, actually I want to go to simulation, and I think I want to set the knob here to rotary as opposed to what it's set up to right now. Give me 1 second here. Where is that? Is that in here? Equipment, actually. There we go. There we go. Slow, faster, rotary. That's better. Okay, now I can go ahead and set my MDA up top here. Okay, let's set 1,560 feet up there. There we go, that's set. All right, and airport elevation 13 feet, MSAs within 25 nautical miles at the San Francisco VOR, 3,500 feet to the west, 5,000 feet to the north, 4,500 feet to the southeast there. And in case we need to go missed, we're going to climb to 3,000 feet on the San Francisco Radial 281 to VIQ, which is at 12 DME from SFO, and hold there. The missed approach requires a minimum climb of 350 feet per nautical mile to 1,900 feet. If unable to meet the climb gradient, see the ILS or localizer runway 28 left. Okay. RNAV 1 GPS or radar required for procedure entry, and circling runway 1 left, 1 right, not authorized at night, but that's fine. You know, we still have a little bit of daylight left. We're going to disregard that. In reality, you know, I've seen, maybe it's been updated, but in the past, the circling visual used to be done at night, so we'll request that. In case we can't get it, we'll just sign off from Pilot Edge, but hopefully we can get that. Miguel de Oliveira, welcome on board. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with us. Miguel says it's almost 2 a.m. in Brazil. Holy cow there, Miguel. Well, thanks for hanging out with us anyway. All right, thanks for hanging out with us. Miguel, it's about 10 p.m. Okay, we'll plan on the circle to land one right. So
113 Sierra X-ray, descend to
at
maintain
Axmo, we're going to break off to the left, cross over the Bayshore Freeway, cross over El Camino Real, and essentially follow along El Camino Real, descending as we come into one right. And we'll essentially fly over this sort of the BART garage there as we start our return to final NSFO. So that's what we're going to try and aim for. All right, fantastic. And we're going to land flaps 30 today, auto brake setting of level 3, VREF of 132, final approach speed is going to be 137. And once we land on one right, we're going to try and exit on Charlie or Victor. We'll cross one left when able or when instructed.
Contact Springs approach 124.0.
And then the 28s when ATC instructs us to, and then via Echo to the terminal. So that's our plan. And that is our approach brief. Of course, one thing to note before we finish up the approach brief, we are going to be in close proximity to terrain, so we're going to get the terrain override on there, or we're going to override the terrain alerts so we don't have TripWiz terrain alerts annoying us during the approach. So that is our plan.
946 number center. Hearing nothing but static from you, sir, if you're trying to transmit.
And that's the approach brief. Any questions?
I'm sorry about that. My microphone is muted.
Any questions?
None.
Do you hear me now?
TM 946 affirmative, contact Springs approach
Descent procedure.
124.0.
Stand by.
Springs approach 124.046.
Okay, there we go. All right, let me catch up on chat here. Yak Nation, hello to you. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Springs approach, the Colorado Springs altimeter 3013.
Virtual Italy, welcome to you as well.
Vector's visual approach runway 35 left or 35 right.
Albie, thanks for the kind words, much appreciated. And hopefully we didn't lose too many people. I think we had some stream buffering issues earlier. Hopefully those stream buffering issues have stopped and things are better now. But let me know if the issues are still there, folks, and I'll do my best to fix them. But Yak Nation, hello to you. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with us. Virtual Edenly was asking, is prepared a standalone sim? Yes, it is, Virtual. So it's available from Lockheed Martin. You want to look for, actually, let's go ahead and initiate our descent here. Coming up on our top of descent at 2 nautical miles, the aircraft should automatically start descending once we get our top of descent. And it'll descend via the Bodega 3 there. All right, fantastic. Okay, VNAV speed there. Just initiated our descent. There we go. Fantastic. So Virtual Edenly. So look up Lockheed Martin Prepared, and that should on Google, and you can get all the information you want in the sim. Now the sim by itself looks very, very plain, to be honest with you. It's the old FSX ESP engine. So honestly, a lot of the default scenery in P3D is the scenery from the old FSX for the most part, with some small modifications here and there for some military airfields, primarily from Lockheed Martin. But it's pretty much the old FSX, you know, for the most part, the scenery. So you have to spend a fair amount of money on various add-ons from developers like Orbex, etc., to get it looking good. And then there's some pay-bear aircraft and things like that that you need to get in order to get the sim looking good as well. So that's another issue. Unfortunately, there's a lot of work that goes into making Prepared look good. So that is kind of an issue with Prepared, unfortunately, that you can't get around really. Miguel de Oliveira, thank you so much for the 10 there. Really, really do appreciate it. Thank you much for the donation. William Poe, welcome on board. William Poe was asking, what are my specs? William Poe, I've got a really, really old, relatively modest system here. I've got a 4-year-old system up right now. Yeah, it's about 3.5 years, 4 years old right now. I've got 16 gigs of RAM. I've got the old i7 6700K. CPU, and I've got a pretty old graphics card. I've got a GTX 980 Ti, which just has 6 gigabytes of RAM, so that's all I have, unfortunately. Relatively modest, relatively old system. But, you know, for the settings that I run when I'm streaming, etc., it works pretty well for me, so I have nothing to complain about. Hazru was saying he thought it was just you. Oh, Hazru, were you referring to the stream buffering? So sorry about that. I'm not quite sure what was going on. Sometimes these things happen to me. As I was saying, my internet connection has been a little bit weird recently. The connection tends to drop and start doing all kinds of weird stuff. And that's been happening lately. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's just peak hours. You know, a lot of people in the area are using the internet at the same time. I don't know what it is. You know, I'm not quite sure why that happens, but it happens. You know, let's get the speed brake out of the flight detent there. And want to get back on the VNAV guided path there. We're about 450 feet high, so not a whole lot of work to get back down on the VNAV path there. Gregory Long was asking, am I landing on the ones? Yes, indeed, Gregory, that is the plan. We're going to try and land on the ones if ATC will give it to us.
Beam 946 here, cleared visual approach 135 right, contact Springs Tower, 119.9, we'll see you.
Okay, let's go ahead and keep the descent going here. We're coming in over Johnny at 280 knots between flight level 280 and flight level 240. Speed brake has been retracted. We're back on the VNAV guided path there. And VNAV path enunciator there on our FMA, so that's good. Descending via the Bodega 3 there.
Tower, I think approach cleared you for the right side. You wanted the left side?
Let's see, what else did I miss in chat here?
Which one would you prefer? DO946 here, change, runway 35 left, runway 35 left,
Nation
clear to land, wind 100.
was asking, do I use ChasePlane? Yes, indeed, Yag Nation. So that's how I get all this fantastic cinematic camera shots, right? Like what you're seeing here with the crescent moon over us. This is what ChasePlane does. It gives us all these fantastic...
Contact Oakland Center 132.2.
Oakland Center 132. Never mind, disregard. Sorry, I thought that was for me for some reason.
Seabird 747 Oakland Center.
Sorry, I thought that frequency change was for us by accident.
Yeah, it was. Seabird 747, contact Oakland Center 132.2.
We are on 132.2 for Speedbird 747.
No, that's the second time I've done that tonight. Sorry about that. Disregard.
Okay, no worries. All right. Yeah, so that's why I thought it wasn't for me, because I was like, hey, it's 132.2. We're already there. That's why I thought that could possibly be for me. A little bit of stuttering here. I hope don't run into too many issues. Let me just real quick here create a save point in case we run into any issues here, because I think we're coming in over a scenery that caused us some issues last week when we did a midweek stream with the Majestic Q400, and hopefully we don't have a sim crash in the same spot. That would absolutely suck. Miguel de Oliveira was asking, approach in SFO. Indeed we are there, Miguel. We are indeed approaching to SFO. And we're planning on, if we can get it, we're going to plan on the circle to land one right at SFO. So I'm going to request that from the controller. Hopefully we do indeed get it. And let's go ahead and do our descent checklist here. Descent checklist.
Descent checklist. Recall. Checked. Auto brake.
Level 3.
Landing data.
VREF 132. Minimums 1,560 feet. Set and checked.
VREF 132. Minimums 0 feet. Approach briefing.
Completed.
Descent checklist complete.
Okay, descent checklist complete. Thanks, Miguel. We're certainly going to need it for sure. Alwi was saying you're watching from Kenya along with your morning coffee. Awesome, Alwi. Good morning to you. Thanks for hanging out with us. How are things going with you in Kenya? I am a fan of Kona coffee myself, but as a self-described coffee connoisseur, I'm well aware that Kenya coffee certainly has its charms and really positive attributes as well, obviously. So, awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us and drinking your coffee. I am not drinking Kona coffee at the moment, surprisingly. Well, actually, maybe not that surprisingly, because it's super late in the evening here. But I am drinking tea, Earl Grey hot. That's what I'm drinking. Actually, it's tea Earl Grey lukewarm at this point, because it's been sitting on my desk for the past couple hours. Okay, continuing on to Bigelow here, between flight level 230 and 190. And I'm going to do something here, folks, in just a couple of minutes. It's going to be a little bit of an immersion killer. I wanted to land with just a little bit of daylight left, because that makes for more interesting viewing, obviously, for those of you fine folks on stream. So that way we're landing right before sunset. So I'm going to change the time slightly, you know, roll it back by about a half hour or so. That way we can see better, and it makes for more interesting viewing for those of you fine folks on stream. Nobody likes a night stream, I've noticed. so we're going to do that here in just a little bit. Okay, actually, let's go ahead and do it now, real quick. So I'm going to roll back the clock by about half an hour here. There we go. All right, fantastic. That is a lot better. So that way we can see things a bit better. And hopefully that makes for a bit more interesting viewing once we do the approach. The lights are still going to be on, as you can see from the street lights below us. But that should make for a bit more interesting viewing for us. Okay, we're coming up on transition here. Flight level 180. Hazru was saying, please may you say this in a proper British accent. I'm going to try, Hazru. That's a proper British drink. A lovely mug of Earl Grey. I can't do the British accent. I have no idea how to do it, honestly.
Transition.
Okay, transition. Let's go ahead and reset altimeters. 2984. Altimeters 2984 set. 2984 set. Approach checklist. Approach checklist. Approach checklist. Approach checklist.
Altimeters.
2984 set.
2984 set. Approach checklist complete.
Oh, the joys of dealing with FS2 crew. Sometimes it just doesn't work the way you want it to work. But it is what it is. All right, Hazuru was saying fantastic. I'm sure it was not, Hazuru. I can't do a proper British accent at all. Yeah, I have a hard time with accents, to be honest with you. I can understand some accents, but I have a hard time doing accents myself. I can do a really, really bad version of a Russian accent from time to time.
747, contact NorCal approach 135.1.
NorCal 135.1, Speedbird 747. Okay, NorCal 135.1. NorCal, good evening, Speedbird 747 Heavy, descending through 15,000 on the Bodega 3.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, NorCal approach, hello, the San Francisco altimeter 2986.
2986, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, let me very quickly here hop into my active sky weather, and I'm just going to set the METAR here real quick, reset the altimeter 2986. Everything else stays the same. In terms of at least what I had earlier. Let me very quickly check on the actual weather here at San Francisco and make sure that that hasn't changed for the better. It has not. Okay, it's still what it was before. So see, I don't have a problem with the winds at San Fran. That's not an issue for me at all. Boy, we had a huge big stutter there. Yeah, thankfully the sim recovered, but we had about a 4-second stutter. I hate those in P3D. But my issue isn't the winds at SFO. The winds, I can handle a crosswind on one right just fine. So that's not the issue. The issue is The issue is the, in fact, actually 1 second. The issue really is, 1 second here. Let me really quickly set something. Oops. Just gonna reset the weather here at SFO real quick. Set the METAR 298.6, and you know, we're gonna stay with the 250 at. Actually, let's make it 308. Okay. Next. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. One second here. Okay, coming up on 1000 there. So we come up on brakes. And boy, we're having all kinds of stuttering issues here. Let's do this here real quick. 2986. There we go, that's better. All right, that's much better. Sorry, I had to do some things here in active sky for active sky to work properly. Okay, coming up on Cork at 250 knots, 1000, then on to brakes. NorCal Speedbird 747 Heavy with approach request.
Yeah, go ahead.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, I'd like to request the ILS 28 right, and we'd like to break off at Aximal for the circling visual to 1 right at SFO.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, right, you can expect that.
Thank you much. Okay, we can expect that, so that is fantastic to hear. That's what we're going to get today. Aleph Mustaqim, this flight is going to be as long as it takes for us to get from where we are right now as we cross over, as we fly over.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, flight present heading up vectors, ILS runway 28 right, final approach course, descend and maintain 6000.
Present heading, descend and maintain 6000, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, present heading, that's a 126 heading there. Whoops. Select, and we'll descend down to 6,000 feet. Flight level change there, down to 6,000. All right, fantastic, down we go. And we're gonna be having these stutters all the way through the approach here, folks, or at least for a good portion of this. Once we start really slowing down to approach speeds, the stutters should hopefully be a lot less of an issue. That's the hope anyway. Okay, let's make sure we got the ILS 28 right tuned in there. Let's go to nav radio there. Just going to pull up the ILS 28 right. 111.7284 tuned in. That's fantastic. Okay, so we got everything set up the way we needed to. But Aleph Mustaqim, yeah, so it's the amount of time left in this flight is the amount of time it takes us to get from where we are right now to straight down below us on 1 right at SFO. That's how much longer we have left in this flight. It's that amount of time. All right, let's see. Lego Studios 1912, welcome on board. I'm assuming you're referring Lego Studios to the stuttering issues. I agree that sucks.
10,000.
It totally sucks. Do not disagree with that at all. Let's see. Lego Studios, I missed a few messages. Oh, Miguel de Oliveira, first of all, thank you so much for the $5 donation there. Sorry I missed that earlier, but thank you so much for that. Miguel de Oliveira was asking, is this a tribute for the 747? Yes, absolutely. That was the plan there, Miguel. So we're flying this beautiful retro BOAC livery. The first 747s in British Airways fleet, of course, sported this livery. And then British Airways decided to do a retro BOAC livery for the 100th anniversary of British Airways. So this beautiful livery is obviously not going to be gracing our skies ever again. So
NorCal approach 135.65.
13565 Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, 13565. So yeah, this is kind of a tribute flight, given the retirement of the 747s for sure there, Miguel. NorCal Speedbird 747 Heavy 8.2 descending 6,000.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, NorCal approach, descend and maintain 4,000.
Descend and maintain 4,000 Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, down to 4,000 here. All right, fantastic. Let's see, what else did I miss here? Gregory DeLong was saying the SFO runway 1 approach is more dangerous. Kitech, no. More famous too. Probably not more dangerous than Kitech for sure, but it is pretty challenging for sure. You know, the difference between Kitech and the SFO 1 right approach, or the SFO 1's approach, is that there's no lead-in lights, there's no PAPIs in the ones, so everything is basically pilot judgment of your height above the runway, all that sort of stuff. So it's all, you know, all up to you in terms of your judgment of how things are going. So that makes the landing on 1 right a lot more challenging. And also, you know, there's no charted procedure, right? The circling visual is just a circle to land off the ILS. There is an RNAV visual approach that certain carriers like Alaska Airlines, I believe, have charts for. But that, you know, is not available to most international carriers that come in here, as far as I know. So
747 Heavy, turn left heading 100.
Turn left heading 100, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, 1000. 1000, did I say? I said, my man, 100. Too many zeros. It's late in the evening, folks. I probably need to get some sleep pretty soon, too. So, anyway, but I missed a lot of messages from LEGO Studios. I'm not sure, LEGO Studios, that's what I was asking earlier. I'm not sure when the last BA747 flight was. And LEGO says you keep accidentally clicking the send button while typing. Okay, that makes sense, because I was wondering about that. John Ceballos, hello to you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. John, thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you're doing fantastic. How are things going with you, John? John, are you back in Anchorage at this point, or have you traveled to destinations further away already? I'm just curious where in the world you're at. But hope you're doing well, John. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Hazaru was saying you definitely prefer the Landor livery. The Landor livery is super awesome there, Hazaru. I totally agree with that. It is a beautiful livery for sure.
Speedbird 747
One to
Heavy,
go.
turn left heading 010.
Left heading 010, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, all the way around to 010 there. And let's go ahead and start slowing the airplane down to 210. Okay. And LEGO Studios was asking, is Lufthansa the only passenger 747 operator left? No, LEGO. I think you've got Korean Air and Air China as well, is what Portland, who was on earlier, was mentioning. So we've still got a couple of operators.
747 Heavy, safe speed.
Sorry, say again for Speedbird 747 Heavy, you cut out there. Flaps
Safe
1.
speed.
Speed checked. Flaps 1.
Oh, speed 200 knots, Speedbird 747 Heavy.
Here's 747 Heavy, thanks. 5 miles from
Flaps 1 green.
Dumba, turn left heading 300, maintain 4,000, so establish in the local area. Clear ILS runway 28 right approach, circle runway 1 right.
Left heading 300, cleared the ILS 28 right, circle to land 1 right approach, Speedbird 747 Heavy, thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and reduce our speed now to 180. Okay, Lokestar, or localizer capture rather. Flaps 5.
Speed checked. Flaps 5. Localizer
And we're going to
live.
maintain 4,000 until established, so there we go. Okay, fantastic. We're doing great here. Matthew 4, welcome back. Says just in time for arrival. There you go. John Ceballos was saying, you're here, the plane is on the ground at the moment,
Glide path alive.
you're not able to use it, I guess. You have a fuel leak on engine number 4. You've been working almost all day. Now you have to wait for parts coming. Oh my God, that sucks, John. I'm
Flaps
super
5 green.
sorry to hear about that. Sorry to hear about that, John. But, you know, that's one of the nice things about having a flight mechanic like yourself on these flights, right? You get to work your magic and get things back and running again. But that's super... that sucks, but it's also a chance for you to flex your muscle there as a flight mechanic right there, John. So hopefully that gets sorted out pretty soon and you're back in the air in no time. Okay, we're on the ILS 28 right here. Going to be capturing the glide slope here any minute now. And San Francisco Tower is 120.5. So well, let's set that in standby. Comm 1. Okay, so once again, we're going to descend towards Aximal. At Aximal, we're going to break off for the circling visual 1 right. Let me go ahead and override the terrain alerts there. That way we don't have that barking in our ears. Okay, glide slope. Glide slope.
Check.
Okay, beautiful views over the bay here. As we come in to land at SFO. And we're going to be doing this after sunset. Why did I ever agree to do this? Now I ask myself that question, right? Anyway, let's keep it going down. Let's go ahead and set our missed approach altitude here of 3,000 feet. In case we need to go missed, but obviously that's not going to happen. And let's go ahead and reduce our final approach speed here of... actually, hold on 1 second. Let's go to 170 for now. Okay, and let's go ahead and disconnect the autopilot here. Okay, autopilot disconnected. Flying manually. I'm going to leave the flight directors on. That way the auto throttle can control.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, contact San Francisco Tower 120.5.
San Francisco Tower 120.5, Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, let's go ahead and slow down. Actually, not yet. Not just yet. I'm going to slow down to my final approach speed once I'm in a bit closer here. Flaps 10.
Speed checked. Flaps 10. 2,500. Flaps 10 green.
Radio altimeter.
Radio
San Francisco
altimeter
Tower,
alive.
good evening. Speedbird 747 Heavy on the ILS, 2 right for the circle to land, 1 right for at SFO.
Speedbird 747 Heavy, San Francisco Tower, circle east, enter circle east for runway 1 right, cleared to land, and wind 280 at Niner.
Circle east to enter right base for runway 1 right, clear to land 1 right for Speedbird 747 Heavy, thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and break off at Aximal. We're coming up on Aximal here in just a few short minutes. Let's go ahead and reduce our final approach speed of 137.
Runway lights.
Checked. Gear down.
Gear down.
And once we're past Aximal, I'll turn in to the left there. Flaps 20.
Speed checked. Flaps 20.
Flaps 30.
Speed checked. Flaps 30.
Landing checklist.
The speed brake is not armed.
Let's do that. Landing checklist.
Speed brake.
Armed.
Landing gear.
Down.
Flaps.
Flaps 30.
Landing checklist complete. Flaps 30 green.
Visual.
Check.
Landing.
Check.
Okay, we got a visual. We're landing. Just breaking off here to the left. There's the Bayshore Freeway, rather. Right there. That's the US 101, of course. Major thoroughfare from SFO down to Silicon Valley and further south to San Jose in the South Bay. And we're going to continue on just past El Camino Real, which is straight up ahead. And then we're going to kind of parallel El Camino Real there as we descend towards SFO 1 right. Let me go ahead and put my iPad away so that's not sitting on my lap there. And let's continue our descent here.
50 above.
Continue.
Decide.
Continue. So that's I've never heard that call out before in the PMDG 747. That's interesting. Okay, let's keep the descent going. There is El Camino Real right below us. Just gonna kind of follow El Camino Real in. And of course, you don't have any pappies on the ones, so deciding how far I want to descend is completely a matter of me judging my height above the ground, right? And I'm leaving the flight directors on, by the way, because I want the auto throttle to control the throttle. I could probably take it off auto throttle, but I'd rather save myself a little bit of workload there and have that automatically reduced to idle during the flare. As long as I understand that I'm not using the flight directors, I'm just going off of what I see outside the window there, I should be okay. Okay, we're doing okay. We're on right base here to 1 right, and there is the BART station up ahead that I'm going to start my turn of final at. So we'll see how we do here. I'm doing okay so far, actually. Not bad at all. Okay, let's go ahead and start our turn of final. I think I'm at an appropriate altitude here, so I'm doing okay on altitude. Let's go ahead and get in some bank there. And you see why this approach is kind of like high-tech, and why I like to refer to it as a Californian high-tech, with this really tight turn to roll out on final below 500 feet there. A little high, but that's fine, and overshot a little bit.
Sink rate.
Not very good.
Sink rate.
We'll bring it back, though. We'll bring it back. Quite a bit high there. I think I cut it in a bit too close there, but that's fine.
Sink rate. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Landed a little bit long, but that's fine.
Speed
Main's
breaks out.
still in the touchdown zone. Probably could have gotten the nose wheel in the touchdown zone too. That would have been better. But we're doing okay. We're just going to take Victor instead of Charlie. So we're doing okay.
Auto brakes.
Okay, below 80 knots. We're going to hang a left here onto Victor. If he can get stopped by then. Come on.
60 knots.
Really getting on the brakes there to try and make Victor. There we go. We made Victor. Okay. Welcome to SFO, ladies and gentlemen. There's the reason the circle land on 1 right is not authorized at night, right? Because it's so hard to judge your height above the ground. Okay, we'll hold short of 1 left here. Let me grab my iPad here real quick. Oh, hold short of 1 left. Let me pull up my parking diagram, or airport diagram rather. But that was interesting for sure. That was super interesting. San Francisco Tower, Speedbird 747 Heavy has vacated 1 right onto Victor.
747 Heavy, are you parking at the terminal or SPO?
Speedbird 747 Heavy, we're going to park at, yeah, Terminal 1 there.
747 Heavy, straight out on Victor, cross runway 1 left on Victor. Turn left on Echo and hold short runway 28 right.
Cross runway 1 left on Victor, right, left on Echo, and hold short of 28 right at Echo for Speedbird 747 Heavy. Okay, going to continue across here on Victor over crossing 1 left. Then we'll hang a left onto Echo and hold short of 28 right. Whoa, taxiing a little too fast there. NS Durelli was, there you go. Jose, yeah, totally, that was tight. That was far too tight. I was landing at night, and so I kind of misjudged my turn a little bit.
Cross runway 28 right and 28 left at Echo, then taxi the park will be Echo and Alpha. We can run this very quickly. Have a good rest of your night.
Cross runway 28 left and right at Echo, and then via Echo and Alpha to parking. Will remain this frequency. Speedbird 747 Heavy. Thanks for the great ATC. You have a great night as well. Okay.
See you next time.
We'll see you. All right, past the 28s here. I'm going to leave the aircraft in landing configuration, obviously, so that we can check out some replays of that landing, which wasn't the best landing, but it was what it is. It is late in the evening. We got to send off this particular aircraft in style, and we got to scare our passengers a little bit. And can you really put a price on that, right? Can you really put a price on scaring your passengers every once in a while? I think not. Okay, saying a left here. And I'm going to catch up on chat here, folks, once we're parked and everything. Okay, now I could probably turn off my flight directors. Let me go ahead and do that. There we go. And we'll head down to the international terminal here on Alpha. I probably could have parked the other side, but taxiing there would have taken far too long, so that's why we're taxiing this way. All right. That's right, Miguel. We got to do a Fast and Furious taxi, and the reason we got to do that is because we want to get to those replays as quickly as possible, and also because your streamer desperately needs some sleep and needs to call it an evening. So that's the other reason. All right, just going to continue down Alpha here to Mike 1. Then we'll hang a right on Mike 1, proceed to the international gates right there. We did fly domestic, but I'm not quite sure why we're parked at the international gates, to be honest. Not quite sure. I think we're just doing it just because. Okay, let's tax. Holy cow, we drifted a little bit there because I was taxiing far too quickly. I didn't even realize my taxi speed was like 45 knots there. You're seeing it all tonight, folks. You're seeing it all. Okay, let's see. Where do we want to... Let's just park straight ahead there at that gate. This aircraft is so light that just a little bit of thrust gets it rolling. Bogdan, welcome on board, Bogdan. Hope you're doing well. We haven't seen you in a while on stream, but thanks for hanging out with us. Bogdan says blame the conditions and not the pilot. There you go, Bogdan. Totally. We can totally blame the conditions. I'm all for that. Although, to be honest with you, I can't really blame the conditions because I created the conditions as a custom weather preset as custom weather in Active Sky. So even if you want to blame the conditions, you got to blame the creator of the conditions, which was myself. Because I actually picked the time we were going to land at, I picked the weather conditions and everything, so technically it was all my fault there. So there you go. Okay, anyway, we're parked here. Let me go ahead and disconnect from Pilot Edge. Fantastic service today on Pilot Edge, as always. Let me go ahead and close up my Pilot Edge client so we're not bugging them for any reason. And let me go ahead and hide my Sim Toolkit Pro overlay so you don't see that and get any erroneous landing rate indications. And for those of you who want to know, the landing rate was recorded at 141 feet per minute. I don't care for that. I don't, you know, it doesn't matter to me because I think you guys have heard me say this. The landing rate calculators in Flight Sim don't really help us too much in my view. But let me go ahead and complete my flight in Sim Toolkit Pro. I'm going to go ahead and close my Sim Toolkit Pro window. Let's go ahead and just very quickly here, I'm going to reset my sim time just a little bit earlier so we have a bit more daylight for the replay. Right about there should be good. It's just going to take a couple of seconds here, actually a few more seconds for the sim to load back up. Just to let that happen, and then we can do a replay. You're going to see a black screen while that's going on. But once that's done, hopefully we can be able to see the sim again. There we go. Boy, that had me scared for a second or two. Okay, let's do a replay here, and we'll see what that looked like. It's not going to be pretty, but we'll see what that looked like anyway. Okay, let's go back a little ways here before we cross over the shoreline rather. And I'm going to catch up on chat while all that's going on. Alvin Aviation Gaming, welcome on board. At least you're going to be able to catch some of the replay. Miguel de Oliver was saying the call-out decide means minimums. Yeah, totally, Miguel. I did know that, but I think what I was saying was it's the first time I'd heard that in the PMDG 747 in particular. So I figured it meant minimums, and that's why I responded by saying continue. But it was interesting because it was the first time I heard that in the PMDG aircraft, and I was a bit surprised by it. That's all. And I know I missed a ton here. Rap Battle, welcome on board. Rap Battle with a whole bunch of emojis there. And whoever it was that said, oh my god, we're landing. Sorry I missed your message earlier. Let's see. Miguel de Oliver was saying the last flight of BA 747 was 19... Actually, I'm not sure. Oh, it's last Friday. Okay, gotcha there. John Ceballos was saying some days are easy, some are hard. You were supposed to be flying from LAX back. Oh my god, sorry about that, John. Hopefully that gets sorted out soon and you're back to flying soon enough. Inés Darelli says, you remember my earlier flight from the same airport and circle landing? That was like evening time. Thanks, Ines. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, so we did that in the United 777-300ER, and that was a super fun flight for sure. Yeah, I remember that. We did a stream a couple of months, or maybe 3 or 4 months ago, in the 777-300ER from LAX to SFO, and we also did the circle land one right, and that actually went a lot better. It probably helped that we were flying that flight in the daytime. Just going to very quickly do something here. Just make sure the logo light is on. It actually already is. That worked out a lot better. We flew it in the daytime, and I executed the circuit land perfectly. This one we overshot a little bit. I started my turn a little late and a little high, but it worked out okay in the end. We got stopped by the taxiway we wanted to stop at, and considering it's past 10 p.m., and I'm on my last legs here, personally, before I need to crash and get some sleep, I think we did okay. But you can see downtown San Francisco in the distance there. You can see the Bay Bridge as well. This is a spectacular approach. And in these colors, I don't think you could beat it. Well, Hazaru probably thinks it should have been the Landor livery. And that's not a bad livery to fly this approach in either. But I don't think you can beat it in these beautiful colors. Yeah, I started my turn just a little late and a bit high. And that was the issue there. And I think it was a bit too close in as well. Ines Darelli was saying exactly 3 months ago. Okay, really interesting. Yeah, I was wondering how long ago that was, Ines. But there we go, we're rolling out on final. I probably should have done the replay from that side, because from that side you can actually see the 101, the Bayshore Freeway there. There we go. Nice soft touchdown just before the final set of markings there. I didn't get the nose wheel down in the touchdown zone though. But it worked out okay. It worked out okay. This is always a fun approach. Alright, let's do a tower view, obviously. That's the next thing we're going to do here. Do a quick tower view. Actually, 1 second. You know what? Let's do a tower view first. There we go. That is the tower view. Beautiful view there of Burlingame, Millbrae, and the lights there. Yeah, we were a little high, you can tell. Yeah, I was really kind of putting my nose down there to try and get it down to the touchdown zone. Ooh, really nice soft landing there. Would have been a lot better if we actually had the nose wheel down in the touchdown zone, but not too bad overall. Bob Dan, how are things going with you? We haven't seen you on stream for a while. And Shishir Kamor and Matthew, thanks for the nice words on the landing. It was ill-deserved, but thanks for the kind words anyway. I think you guys are just being polite, because you're not trying to hurt my feelings. You know how late it is, right? So there you go. Okay. I wanted to do a wing view here real quick, so we'll do that. All right. Let's see. And which side of the airplane do we want to be on? Let's do this side. Miguel de Oliveira was asking, can I do the next 747-400 flight with the GE engines? Yeah, we certainly could there, Miguel. We certainly could. In fact, Miguel, not to give anything away here, but the next time we feature a 747 on stream, we very likely will be doing a stream to Antarctica. There will be time compression involved, so flight sim purists, stay away, because you're not going to be pleased with the time compression. But there's no way I'm going to stream a full 5-hour flight from Christchurch to McMurdo Station in Antarctica. But that's what I'm thinking of as of the moment. The next time we stream, we'll quite likely be featuring the the 747-8 from PMDG with the GE NX engines from Christchurch to McMurdo, with a whole bunch of time compression thrown in to shorten the cruise portion of the flight from 5 hours to about an hour, hour and a half. So that way, this poor streamer isn't streaming and boring you all for 4 or 5 hours straight. But I am planning on doing a stream featuring a flight in the PMDG 747 from Christchurch to Antarctica, McMurdo Station, probably in the next couple of weeks. I definitely want to do it before the new Microsoft Flight Simulator comes out. So that's what's coming up. Okay, let's see. I wanted to do that view. Oh yeah, we're gonna do this view. I always like this view because it's super awesome. All right, let's pull it back just a little bit there. And what I'm gonna do here, if it doesn't kill my frame rates, actually it probably will kill my frame rates. I was thinking about getting reflections on completely, so we're not gonna do that. I think that's gonna cause all kinds of issues. But we're gonna take a look at it from this view. This is always a super nice view for sure, and from this view, obviously, you're gonna see the overshoot a lot better as we come in on short final there. So there is, yeah. So there's the El Camino Real. So I was staying on the right, the correct side of it. I think I just started my turn a bit too high. I misjudged it. I don't even remember the last time I did this at night. It must have been like 5 or 6 months ago. So there we go. Yeah, but the overshoot actually wasn't that bad, to be honest. We overshot it maybe by about 100 feet, 150 feet to the left there, but brought it back. So that worked out. That wasn't too bad at all. Ooh, nice soft buttery landing there. That worked out pretty nicely. Miguel de Oliveira says you're excited for the next flight. You can't wait. Awesome, Miguel. Yeah, that should be a lot of fun for sure. We're going to look forward to having you on. And when we do that flight to Antarctica on stream, we'll have it during, like a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon or morning, right? So a bit easier as opposed to joining at 2 or 3 a.m. Brazil time there for you, Miguel. Thank you so much for staying up late and hanging out with us. Hopefully, we're providing some quality entertainment to keep you occupied during the wee hours of the night there. Hopefully, you're enjoying it. Let's see, what else did I wanted to do one quick view from this angle, facing towards the west there. So that way we could get some nice glimpses of the Bayshore Freeway right as we turn final. I really do love the scenery from Flightbeam. 1 second here, let me just quickly reset my sim time a little bit earlier. Let's go back to about there. And once again, it's going to take just a couple of seconds to load in there. That's a little better. Every time you run the replay, the sim clock is ticking away in the background, and we lose a little bit of light there that makes it not as attractive to look at. But anyway, let's continue the replay here. And we'll take a look at it from this angle. Wow, beautiful views here. There's the Bayshore Freeway. And Flightbeam actually modeled a stretch of Bayshore Freeway there right next to the airport. So that's what I wanted to look at there. It's a lot better looking in daylight. The stream thumbnail has the word, what it looks like in daylight, and it looks just absolutely spectacular in the daytime. Oh my God, that landing was not earned. Let me tell you that. That soft buttery landing was not earned with the way the approach went. You know how they say a good approach always leads to a good landing? That was an example of where a kind of sort of bad approach can still lead to a good landing, right? Or an okay landing. Maybe not a good landing because we didn't have the aircraft fully down in the touchdown zone. Okay, folks, I'm going to catch up on everything else in chat here. And of course, we're going to do one final replay and call it an evening because it is super late and I've got to get going soon. 1 second here. 5:50. I want to see how much time I have in the little music clip that I'm going to run here for the final replay. Oops, hold on. 1 second, sorry. Just had a little... Okay, we got about 3:37. Okay. Alright, so we're going to bring it back to maybe... say about 50 should be good enough. Let's bring it back to about there, actually. Okay, folks, let me catch up on the rest of the chat here before I get going. Miguel was saying you're excited. Gregory Long was asking, did I do that flight already from Christchurch to McMurdo? Gregory, I haven't done it as a live stream and a live flight, so that's why I was thinking about doing that as a live stream. Because I've had some interest from folks in seeing a live stream of a flight to Antarctica. So that should be fun if you do a live stream. But it's going to involve time compression, and flight sim purists are going to be super upset in chat, but you know, what can be done about that? Either case, it'll be fun to do that as a live stream. You know, you never know. By the way, one of the reasons I love doing live streams, you never know who's going to show up. You know, we get folks like John Ceballos. By the way, John, I am so sorry. I went back to mispronouncing your name. I'm so sorry about that, John. But we had John Ceballos, who's a real-world flight mechanic for Centurion Cargo, and he's a flight mechanic on the 747s. So we get, you know, we occasionally get, you know, Airbus pilots and Boeing pilots, you know, on chat. We had a Q400 pilot on chat earlier when we were doing a Q400 stream. So you never know, you know, what kind of people come into these chat rooms when we're streaming a flight that's of interest to them, featuring an aircraft that they're experienced with, or featuring a flight to a destination they're familiar with. And so doing a live stream to Antarctica could be super interesting, because I've had folks who've done real-world flights to the ice, either as flight crew members for the U.S. Air Force or Air National Guard units that fly aircraft out there. You know, I've had folks leave comments, you know, have actually done those flights in real life on that video featuring Antarctica. And I've also had, you know, what do you call it? You know, folks who've just made those flights to the ice as passengers as well. Time into the comment section. So you never know what kind of people you might get in the chat room, which could make, you know, streaming not just an interesting experience for you folks who watch the videos, but also interesting for me as a streamer, you know, engaging with folks that may have some, you know, knowledge or information that's interesting pertaining to you know, the live stream that we do. So that's another reason, you know, I like live streaming, challenging approaches and interesting destinations and interesting aircraft. So we're probably going to do a live stream featuring Antarctica probably in the next couple of weeks, if not definitely before MSFS comes out. Let's see, what else did I miss here in chat? Lego Studios was saying very disappointed that MSFS didn't have the Mach 2 hot air balloon. Yeah, that is a disappointment. But hey, que sera, sera. You live and move on, right, I guess. Sky High Aviation says, shame you missed it. Well, Sky High, you might get to catch one final replay here as we close out, so feel free to hang out there. Lokestar, welcome, Lokestar. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Super late, of course, but you did miss the flight, Lokestar, but we're going to do one final replay. And, of course, Lokestar, you know where to find the VODs of the videos later, so you're more than welcome, Lokestar, to watch the VOD of this video later. I don't know, Lokestar, if you were on the last time you flew the Circle to Land 1 right in the PMDG 777, but that landing and approach went a lot better than this one. This one was okay. It wasn't too bad. But anyway, you can watch the VOD later, and Lokestar will I'll certainly get in touch with you on what do you call it? On Discord, Lokestar. Thanks for connecting with me on there. I'll get in touch with you on Discord to talk about the Q400 and shared cockpit. So we'll do that for sure soon. All right, folks, I've got to get going soon. Ryanair make good approaches but hard landings, says Miguel de Oliveira. There you go, Miguel. Totally. They do make good approaches but hard landings for sure. 1 second, folks. I've got a stream buffering issue here. I'm not sure why that's happening again, but let me very quickly do something here. I am going to very, very quickly reconnect so we can do one final replay. Because I think the stream is unfortunately buffering. Give me 1 second here. Let me just check on something. Actually, so my stream quality is excellent right now. I'm not quite sure why that's the case. Hopefully that issue has resolved itself. Yeah, hopefully that issue has resolved itself here. Okay, if not, anyway, we're calling it an evening here. The stream is basically over at this point. Okay, folks, I've got to get going here, but thank you all so much for hanging out. This was super fun for sure. I'm going to try and stream Saturday. Oh, by the way, Saturday we're going to stream a flight to Oshkosh for SimMeasure 2020 on Pilot Edge. That should be a ton of fun for those of you who are into VFR flying. Feel free to hang out on Saturday morning or afternoon, whenever I schedule that stream, and we'll do a live flight on Pilot Edge for SimMeasure 2020, and that should be a ton of fun. So hopefully we'll catch you all then. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to be streaming on Sunday as well, but if I do, and we don't catch you Saturday, we'll see you Sunday. But in the meantime, all of you stay safe, stay healthy, have a great and fantastic rest of your week, and a fantastic weekend if you don't see you over the weekend, but hope to catch some of you at least on Saturday. All right, we'll catch you all later. Y'all have a great night. Blue skies and tailwinds, folks. Take care. Bye-bye. We'll see you later.